Hey, everybody. It's Prince of Queens, and I am joined by Satan Says, I believe is your. Wait, no, Satan Satire.
Yeah.
Satan Satire, sorry. And my friend Lyra, who's been on a number of my streams in the past.
Hello.
And fucking, I'm hearing myself in the other window.
Sorry
Um,
about that. I just muted it.
oh, I'm thinking I have two windows open. Fuck that. I hate that. Okay, they're closed. So wanted to talk about kind of an abstract concept, which is the how are, and I think that this is very relevant. I don't necessarily expect this to happen. I don't necessarily expect this to be something that I'm going to follow myself personally. Like, I'm probably not going to do this, but it's something that I think everybody should think about doing as much as they can, which is the idea that we don't have to talk about Trump every time we talk about politics. And and also the idea that you don't even have to directly talk about like federal politics or even local government politics to talk about politics. As Andrew Breitbart said, politics flows downstream from culture. So it's very relevant to talk about culture and to talk about, where we are in the in terms of culture, and how that relates to the bigger picture, and how it's going to relate to the midterm elections, and you know separating what's going on directly, and looking to the signs of what what that's going to amount to. I say that because the real, I predicted Trump. I'm one of the only people that confidently predicted Trump, and I did so repeatedly. Not so much in my videos, but you can see if you really pay close attention to my videos that I was predicting him. But I didn't want to say so much beforehand, not just because, okay, well, if I were to be wrong, that would be embarrassing, but also I didn't want people to blame me as some sort of like, big Trump supporter. Um, if he did win, because a lot of, theoretically, my audience is not completely conservative because I'm not really conservative, even though I think maybe more than half of my audience on YouTube is conservative at the moment. I can't really tell, but a lot of them kind of are. Um, so, but when I realized that Trump was going to win, was when I started really getting into feminism. Not into it, but into really learning about its true nature and really beginning to study the theories and then study the counter theories. And once I really looked at it, and I realized, in 2015, it was very apparent that they were trying to make feminism the big cultural thing of the times. You know, there was no getting around that. Like that was that they were trying, and they were pushing it. It was not just like everybody just randomly got into feminism. No, that was very deliberate and that was very obvious. So I was able to see I was like, oh, this is gonna be the thing that they're trying to get Hillary Clinton into office. And I'm like, okay, they're pushing. There's a lot of money going into this. There's no way Bernie Sanders is gonna. They're never gonna let him have the nomination, and she's gonna end up against Trump because Trump is a mean man. He's like everything that fucking feminists hate, and it's gonna come down to the mean man versus the crooked woman, and I saw that, and I was able to predict that the mean man would win because ultimately, like they the feminist side just didn't have the points on its favor. It just wasn't right, and but that was a cultural thing. So I want to like
Yeah,
there.
you definitely hit the nail on the head more than I did because there towards the end, like up to the election, I was almost positive Hillary was going to win, but I had been in this little doomsday space for like the months leading up to it that I was like, it doesn't matter who wins this point, the world's going to end. We're all going to World War III. Either Hillary's going to bomb Russia or Trump is going to go talk to any foreign politician anywhere in the world and then piss them off because he can't control his facial expressions ever. And then we're all going to go to like it's World War III and fuck it. But you were definitely a whole lot more right on Hillary losing than a whole lot of people were.
Huh. Well, yeah, see, I
And
just thought
that's
that it just seemed like they were overselling it. And when you oversell something, when you try really, really hard to get somebody to buy something, that what that does psychologically is it's like, why are they trying so hard to get me to buy this car? Well, I'm gonna look for whatever the fuck is wrong with this car because they're trying so hard. And so I knew psychologically the masses were going to get really into picking apart feminism. And that alone was going to, be enough to just that cultural push in the opposite direction that would come as a, natural response to overselling it was what I was thinking. Lara, you were going to say something?
I was just going to basically voice my agreement with the unholy father there about the whole election cycle. Like I was absolutely flabbergasted that Trump won. Like I expected Hillary to win the election and World War III to start the next day.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people that wasn't devoted Clinton supporter that thought that it Trump was going to cause World War III too. Like I was in a space like it was all my own fault. Like I was just kind of doomsday spiraling, and the sky is falling and everything a little bit. But yeah, it was I was in a bad spot there for about a week before the election.
Well, for me, I was telling somebody about this on my stream on Saturday night. I started looking into feminism and I realized, how wrong it was. But when I looked into Gamergate finally and really, really looked into Gamergate, it took like practically like a month out of my life to like really watch a ton of videos and and then look at what Anita Sarkeesian had on feminists
Fuck that whore.
yeah, yeah, and it was just so obvious. Like it was so clear how right the gamers were. And then I realized, how many gamers there are and how smart they are and how um it was like, oh, that was such a mistake. So I knew at that point, and that was around early to 2016. I realized that Hillary Clinton was going down eventually. Like that was people say that that's weird for me to consider all that stuff related, and I don't expect people to necessarily like follow the my train of thought when I
Well, it honestly though it is all related.
yeah.
Like this whole social justice warrior culture that has popped up over the last 5 years is exactly what lost or what lost Bernie the election. I'm sorry, it didn't lose Hillary the election; it lost Bernie the
Well, it
election.
lost Hillary the election too.
Yeah, but I think Hillary was as big of a cause of this as anything else.
You think she was as big of a cause of it?
Well,
I
her
think she's one
specifically,
of the
or
biggest
just the idea of
instigators.
Hillary.
Oh,
I think
I think
Hillary.
she was a big instigator. Yeah.
Yeah, she is a huge instigator of the whole feminist mindset of men are evil.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just that. It's the weird, creepy intersectional. Like, let's not actually look out for the real problems. Let's pretend that all of the real problems have to do with white men specifically, and that women, including white women, are going to be the ones that are going to help save it. And it's like simple as that, as opposed to actually like looking at economics and anything more complicated. I think that that's what was sort of the Hillary Clinton. But okay, so I'm already starting to realize, and this will be a little bit of a rant, so I'll probably talk for the next 5 minutes just to warn you guys. um I'm looking around my social spheres, and I think it's too late. The people who don't understand what happened with this election, who hate Trump, they aren't going to understand it. I think. I just don't think they're ever going to understand it. I think it's too late for them. And there's already enough spin. And, like there's people that still believe the Russia bullshit. And there's enough of a new narrative that's popped up to smear Trump, even since he's been in office. It was one thing when they were smearing him prior to being in office, but now that he's already like been doing stuff that people think they don't like, it's too late to go back in time and to make them realize how horrible Hillary Clinton really, really was. And they are going to, their worldview has gone from being in a country that they thought everything was getting better because we had a black president that they liked, to now we have a mean white male patriarchy businessman who is everything that they hate. And that's just how these people think. And I remember this because that's exactly what it was like during the Bush years. As soon as Bush got into office, it wasn't as drastic just because Bush was a different type of character as Trump, but as he got into office, everybody who was, like left leaning hated him. Thought he was a complete idiot, thought that he stole the election, which they think again. There's a lot of people who totally think that Trump stole the election, and their entire worldview is based around hating their country, and it's like an off and on switch where they didn't hate their country and now they hate their country again, and they can't contemplate any more nuance. And um, but what's weird is that they don't realize how much the propaganda from the election affects them as individuals on a daily basis, and just in the way that they view the entire world. And for example, I have a friend. I want to find her actual status update because it's just so funny. Um, so did you guys watch the Oscars last night?
I watched for about the first 30 minutes, and then after the first like 10-minute political speech, I quit and just watched some of the highlights this morning.
Well, I
I,
didn't. I didn't
I have
watch
stayed
any
as
of it.
far away as possible from the Oscars. I fucking can't stand that entire culture.
Yeah, yeah, it's stupid. So I didn't watch any of it. And I um but I did see the movie that won Best Picture, Moonlight. I saw it in the theaters. I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if I would necessarily normally think that a movie like that would deserve Best Picture because it wasn't like that incredible, but I did like it a lot. It definitely seemed like they were probably pandering to the Oscar so white crowd because it was a movie where basically nobody in it was white at all. And but it was good. It wasn't like a Black Lives Matter, like I was talking to some people that were saying that they thought it was going to be a like sort of Black Lives Matter type movie, but it really wasn't at all. Like it was completely self-contained in the storyline between the guy, and it was not preachy in any way. It was just kind of a art house film was what it was, and it was very beautifully shot and it had cool music in it. I really liked it. I mean, not like really, really liked it, but I quite liked it. But I didn't really see the other movies that were nominated for things. So keep that in mind. Moonlight won this art house film. I have this friend who's this girl that I've known since elementary school, actually, and she went through to every level of education that I went through, including college. We were in the same schools. And she has always considered herself an activist, but she's not actually political. I've learned to realize she doesn't actually understand politics at all. She is I don't want to talk shit about her too much because I haven't really hung out with her recently, but I can safely say that she's about the most quintessential feminist teacher's pet of anybody that I've ever known.
She's
Like,
she's the type of activist that I like to call a parrot. Somebody that doesn't actually do their research; they just regurgitate talking points.
That's like 80% of all people who talk about politics, social issues, like even topical things. Like most people don't actually read anything other than maybe a single link that a mainstream media article or something from like Salon or Polygon or Fox News on the other side.
Yeah.
Most people don't really actually look into any of the issues. They just get their talking points and then will come up with their own logical reasoning for them
Yeah.
as to why they're right because it fits their, I won't say narrative because it kind of, the word gets a little bit overused or misused sometimes, but it fits their worldview,
Mhm.
I should say. So it becomes their narrative.
Yeah, yeah. So with this girl, and I've known her since like the third grade. She was everything that knowing that I grew up in Seattle, and Seattle's like the most feminist place, one of the most feminist places in the US, and always has been. She was the type of person who would succeed the best in that environment. Not necessarily, and she is pretty smart. It's not like she's not smart. I'm not going to say she's not, but she was cute. She's attractive and was a very cute little kid. She was quiet. She worked hard enough that she worked quite hard, probably, like she probably put a lot of effort into all of her projects. And she was always very good at understanding exactly what the teachers wanted, you know, and just exactly what, like, it wasn't like she was super brilliant necessarily. Like, she wasn't like super interesting or funny or anything like that, but she was, like like a pod person for like what a feminist teacher would want. And it was like she knew that. It was like with, like by the time I got to the fifth grade, I figured out that no matter what I did, I was not going to please the teachers just the way that I was. Like, I was kind of loud and I like to make jokes, and that doesn't fly, with feminist teachers. They don't like that. But with her, it was kind of like, oh, all I have to do is be quiet and, tell them what they want to hear. Perfect. And she stayed like that all through high school, and then in high school she kind of like tried to be like more like activisty, and like she identified as a lesbian, but I don't think she does anymore. And and she was, I remember talking to her, and she was so stuck up about her, achieving well in school. Like, she thought that she got to the point where she really thought that she was brilliant, and that it wasn't that, like, the system was sort of like set up for little good girls like her that kind of suck up to teachers. She didn't understand that, because
That only gets you so far, and then it gets you nowhere.
well, yeah, and it was weird because her and I were friends because we were part of queer activism together. And she always kind of knew, because I was on the bus with her at elementary school. She always knew I was like quite smart and like actually had independent thoughts and everything. And I think she sort of admired that about me, but she wanted to believe that she was better than me still, you know? And then she ended up going to my college, and she went to a very difficult division in terms of actual workload. It was a multidisciplinary design division, which design school is very, very tough. Actually, like, it's not tough in the way that, like, you have to be incredibly, incredibly intelligent to do it. It's more so that you have to, like, accept that there's going to be an entire month every semester that you probably only get 4 hours of sleep if you're lucky. And I don't know how these kids get through it. And like, when you get good at doing the design stuff, it's like a repetitive task that you just kind of, okay, I don't want to get too much into that. She did that, and then she started making documentary films. And well, that's what she wanted to get into, and she works sort of in that industry, but she's never done anything particularly great. It's never like she's had her name on something that won awards. And it's just like she's been doing that and making her living doing that, but I don't even know what she does in that. And I saw her at class reunion, and I thought that she was cool and that maybe we would hang out. But it turns out that she is still a full blown feminist. Um, and I thought that maybe she was gonna be cooler than that by now, like she would be smarter because I thought of her as a smart person. But now I'm just thinking that she's like, I made the video about, feminist teachers' pets, and I feel like I'm like, was I actually thinking of her like subconsciously when I made that video? Like, is she everything I was thinking of? That girl that, like, she parrots things, and then if in adult life, if she doesn't do all that well, she decides to blame sexism. So here's what she posted. I'm gonna read it out loud, and I'll just read it to you guys. It's from the Moon. It's based around the Academy Awards. She says, "I have never put my faith in big industry award ceremonies, but tonight I am overjoyed that Moonlight earned such a worthy distinction. Moonlight is truly among the most subtle and beautifully crafted films I have ever seen, and was the budget film to win." Lowest budget film up for Best Picture. The acting, the cinematography, the sound design, the editing, everything. If you haven't seen the film yet, do it as soon as you can. I hope the award means that Barry Jenkins and the entire creative team will receive support for their much needed future work. Moreover, I am encouraged that the that moreover, I am encouraged that the hashtag Oscars So White campaign of 2016 shook up the Academy and laid the groundwork for numerous artists to receive much deserved recognition. Um, so
That is like the biggest virtue signal ever.
yeah, right. So I say, so and I don't even argue. Like, I know better than I actually kind of got in an argument with her recently. So not with her, actually with her crazy feminist cousin, who was a full blown turf, who was, oh my god, that I wish I could still see that, but she deleted all of it. But so I say, in relation to her, Moonlight virtue signal thing.
On before we get too far ahead, because I remember the term. I can't remember the meaning of it though. It's like the
It's
trans exclusionary something.
trans exclusionary radical feminists. These bitches are cunts that I want to fucking, yeah, you know.
Oh, her feminist, her cousin was so bad. Like, I had never encountered a turf. Actually, I have the initial.
I've actually
Um,
never encountered a turf in meat space.
I haven't either. I think they make very specific. I mean, these are people who, it's what it is that they really, 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 really hate men to the point where it carries over to trans women, and
Fuck those
so
cunts.
no, well, no, and like this one, I can read her when I'm done with this part. I'll read the actual her first post that got me arguing with her, because this bitch was seriously crazy. Like, she was like seriously insane. So okay, my friend said all this stuff about Moonlight, and so I say, saw it in the theaters with my mom around Christmas. I'm quite pleased it ended up winning, though I hadn't seen the others. Then her friend says, yes, yes. Now we need some women to at least get nominated. As Bell Hooks recently said, the female glass ceiling appears harder to permeate than the race one. And this is a white woman saying this, which is like, it's just kind of like, how, I don't want to say how dare you be so selfish, but it shows how feminists think. Like, they think that they're, I wanted to say in response, I'd be like, you know what, instead of being angry, why don't you just focus on making good movies?
Well, my whole thought on that was that that's you know, the very aspect of identity politics that makes it toxic.
Hmm.
Like, it's the whole, well, you guys just got a leg up, but or your identity just got a leg up, but mine's still down here, so fuck you guys now.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of that, but there's also like, can't we all agree? that if there was a black lesbian in a wheelchair who made a really, really, really good movie, it would have probably won Best Picture this year. Like it
Yeah.
was, it's not about
If there's a black lesbian in a
she's
wheelchair,
acting like female directors and producers are being oppressed and that they're women, that their movies aren't winning. And it's like that's just not true. They're just not really making that many movies. And
yeah,
you know,
yeah, its current year, if there was a black female lesbian director in a wheelchair that made a movie, even a mediocre movie,
yeah.
it would have won Best Picture.
Yeah, so her friend says, yes, now we need some women to at least get nominated. As Bell Hooks recently said, the female glass ceiling appears harder to permeate than the race one. I didn't decide to comment, but my friend says, I was definitely thinking it is time for an Oscar so hashtag Oscar so male campaign. I don't know if one or another ceiling is harder to break, but I do believe that we have to fight for these changes, and society will benefit from having more women shaping culture and telling stories. And I just want to be like, you little cunt, you have gotten every advantage in life by being a woman. I have witnessed it. I have seen you over and over be the teacher's pet, over and over. You know, in college, she was able to live free of rent because she was an RA in the dorm, which are mostly, you know, they give that mostly to women. Um, they're all of these things she's gotten by being a woman, and by and she was never particularly artistically talented. Like I think that one of the things that she maybe admired about me in terms of the reason why we were actually friends was that she admired that I was artistically talented, but she wasn't. She never really did art or poetry or anything like that during high school. And I'm not saying she might not be now, but she was always good at being, you know, like organized. I like to refer to it as the Academy for Organized Girls was where she studied, you know, like that she was that type of person. And so it's just kind of like, oh, so you're just gonna like be that type of person that would probably end up in some sort of administrative role in life naturally, but you're going to try to be an artist, and when you don't actually get recognition for it, you're going to use your little activist organizing skills to declare war on the arts because you thought it was unfair, but maybe you're just not that good. And I think that and all of that comes from politics. You know, all of that, like she wouldn't be writing that status update right now if it didn't have to do for fourth wave with fourth wave intersectional feminism and Hillary Clinton and shit. You know, like that's what's enabling this stuff to permeate culture. So what I'm saying, come back around to the discussion topic, is that we can't convince these people of why, like I can see why she's saying what she's saying based around you know, the lens of like culture, but I don't think she does. I don't think she fault, like I think she if I even talk to her for 6 hours about the election and fourth wave intersectional feminism relating to Hillary Clinton and how it's going to go out of style and Trump and blah blah, she still wouldn't get it. Either she wouldn't get it at all or she wouldn't want to get it. And that is how, you know, politics shapes culture. Culture shapes votes, and then a new administration comes in, but then the new administration from the top down kind of affects the way that culture ends up being affected. But ultimately, most people only understand culture. They only understand what's immediately around them. They can't see the forest from the trees. And I think that I just want to like sort of talk about like what are going to be some ways of talking to people. Like Trump is such a ridiculous president that there's going to be a lot of people that are just constantly talking shit about Trump for the next 4 years. And that's like all they're going to ever talk about. And they did that during Bush. Like they constantly did that. I remember thinking like, God, it would be nice if like some of the artists I like would shut up about Bush for a minute and like, you know, talk about some other stuff. And yeah, there's going to be people that do that. And that's sort of the concept that I wanted to start the stream with. So what? I'll stop talking for a second. Satan, Lyra, you guys there?
Sorry about
I'm
that.
here.
No, like my Hangouts keeps like I keep getting little 10-second pockets of buffering on the Hangout.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, God, I it's like I'm starting to feel like I need to make sure that the SJWs get eradicated in my social sphere as much as I can. Like, but I've already made so many videos taking them apart piece by piece, and I'm uh, but it's like, what are some other things that we can talk about as a culture? Like, what are some things that are relevant besides, you know, fucking feminism, and like, because that's gonna go away.
It'll go away eventually, but like I'm taking the way I am King 48 put it because it's better than any way I would have put it. But feminism and SJWs and whatever, they're dying out, but they're gonna go out with a bang. And I'm not liking what it's looking the bang is gonna look like.
Hmm.
It's looking like it's going to be a whole lot of just ridiculous fear mongering, a whole bunch of violence, not done by any of the leaders or by like some unified movement, just by people getting excited to do stupid things based on the movement,
You
and
know,
then it not ever hurting any of the people who are fighting against the movement, just random people.
yeah. I'm almost feeling like the violence from the left might have actually already peaked.
I'm hoping
Yeah,
so.
I'm thinking it has too.
Because okay, these people are pussies. Like, they are not tough. They will only fight in a gang. And there's already like article. Did you see the article I posted on my timeline that Lyra was there's an actual article that's posted on Medium from what would appear to be an SJW, and it's saying, and people think it's fake. People are saying it's a cop, but I want to believe that this is real. It's saying that the black bloc protesting style is racist, and white people should reveal their face because people of color don't have the luxury of, or some, I don't know. I didn't even really.
Yeah, I
That,
saw you
that
post
sounds
that.
like
I haven't
inequality
read it
level
yet.
satire, but I can't tell anymore because at this point it's almost all Poe's law.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
can't tell satire anymore at all.
yeah, because yeah, but that is like the kind of thing. I mean, you saw that there was like that one woman who looked like maybe she was like Pacific Islander, and she was like, "White people, you should be giving people of color your houses. You should give it to black and indigenous people." Oh,
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
I'm muting you, Day. You have to unmute yourself in a second.
the
Um,
Indian the
so
Indian or the Native American black trans activists or whatever, like with the megahorn or the
yeah,
megaphone that was sitting there. You need to take all your monies and give all your monies to black people because they don't have any monies.
it
I
was
was like,
yeah, it was
it
so insane.
sounds so
Well,
racist.
I
And
don't
these
have any monies either.
Yeah, and the thing was, these people, like, they those I would say that, like, for every one crazy bitch like that, she has about like 49 people in her extended network that she can that yeah, it's fine, Dave. Just so, like, she had a bunch of people in her extended network, and she's probably bullied them into thinking that she's the wokest of all, like, oh, she's a lesbian, indigenous, black, trans, what, I don't know what the fuck she was, like, a lot of intersections, lots of intersections. And she's bullied her friend group into like always having to listen to her all the time. And so she has a bunch of like white guilt motherfuckers like, yeah, you're so woke, you're so right about everything, yeah, yeah, yeah. What she doesn't realize is that the second it sinks into all of her like white guilt friends that, like, Trump really is our president, and like the riot cops really might come, um her pack of 50 white guilt people is gone. They're going to be gone. She'll have maybe 5 to 10 left at most, but those people will leave pretty quickly too. And But she won't stop ranting and raving for another like month after like her pack is gone, and she'll just look like this pathetic lunatic on a street corner with a sandwich board yelling, "The end is nigh, the end is nigh." That's what it will look like to everyone else. And so like I think because of the fact that they expose themselves for the lunatics that they are, I sort of think that the violence is going to stop, because without the 50 people alongside, they don't have any chance of violence. And they've, like Lyra knows, they were like, people were like trying to threaten me on the internet, and I don't know if they were like trying to threaten me so much because they know that I'd whip their ass, but like they people have been like trying to like bully people like myself, but they do it to other people too all the time. But the people who do it are people who aren't fighters. Like they only do it
Yeah.
in with people who when they have people massively outnumbered. And ultimately yeah, but we do have to make sure that they don't try to regroup and like program more people into thinking in that type of way. But what I want to know is like um you know I think, okay, here. I'm gonna say a talking point, and then I want you guys to talk about this. And I'm gonna start smoking because I need to sort of smoke one of the butts of cigarettes that I have left. I I am thinking that sort of one of the things that we are approaching in culture, and I'm so glad that this is finally happening, is that people are starting to realize that the zeitgeist, the collective unconscious, the people who are linked on the internet, who use the internet as their primary um, thing of communication, of their pop cultural, it's not about watching MTV, it's not about listening to pop music, it's about internet memes and internet slang and all these different things. This is the thing that is dominating culture now.
I
That
love
this
that
is
meme magic.
Yeah, this is the thing that's ruling culture. And that thing is going to have to be acknowledged and is going to have to develop. And how how do we get other people, like people who are still sort of living in the past, people who still think that like reading the New York Times is more relevant than watching Sargon of Akkad? How do we get those people up to speed?
Yeah, these are good questions. I feel like internet culture is the culture of at least first world countries, and the older generation doesn't get it. And then there's this clash between new media and old media, where old media doesn't understand new media at all. So people are getting who don't aren't in the internet culture are getting this impression of internet culture that's completely skewed by old media.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also a lot of the people who are growing up on like new media or the alternative media or all of the dozen different ways to describe various forms of the same kind of thing. They don't
Mhm.
actually get how the old media works anyway. Because basically, all it really takes to turn new media into old media is money.
Yeah, and
Like,
corporate backing.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Once somebody has a boss
But
or a
like,
few
and
bosses.
although I think there is a huge need for people like
Hello?
What happened?
We
of
lost him.
his audience now, and the fact that he's switching away from doing in strictly game, and he's even getting really political as of the last couple of months.
You cut out a
But
little bit
there's
there.
still going to be a need.
Yeah, you keep cutting.
Is
Satan, you keep cutting out.
We can't follow.
Yeah.
let me hop out and I'll hop back in and see if it gets any better.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm getting a new mic in a couple of weeks. Sorry, guys.
Yay.
But honestly, on the subject of like how to fix our media, honestly, I think the only thing that Trump has done so far that I appreciate is his calling out of fake news.
Yeah. Well, that's also kind of it's a double-edged sword, because the more Trump says it, people don't like Trump, so they're just going to disregard it just because it's him saying it. So as much as it's true, it almost like loses impact because Trump's saying it. So, on their terms, everything Trump says is wrong. So they're going to be like, oh, that's a conspiracy. And
Yeah, you're right about that, but I have been noticing that slowly but surely people are realizing that it's like, okay, this is our president. He
Hail
won.
Satan.
This is our president. He won the election, and he's not going to shut up about this. Maybe we should look into what he's talking about. And so, like, he hates CNN. CNN is obviously his like biggest pet peeve, and Sargon has the great video called "Professional Liars" about CNN, and it's the easiest if you just want to show someone why does Trump hate CNN so much. You can show them the video "Professional Liars," and it's about CNN being professional liars, and it very clearly shows with irrefutable evidence of like how they lie, and it shows footage. It shows footage that's like inconsistent in how they manipulate it, and but um up until the last week or so, I almost never had any luck with getting people on my Facebook friend list to actually just watch it. But recently, there's been a few people. I'll be like, "Will you watch a video on YouTube if I link it to you that shows?" And people are like, "Yeah, I will. I'll check it out. I'd like to see some alternative sources." So that is starting to happen.
that's good. I feel like I just had a point, but I lost it.
The idea that popped into my head was like my head popped up with a comparison between CNN and like the BTN from V, the movie V for Vendetta. Like CNN has pretty much become the BTN of the Republican Party, the propaganda machine, or not the Republican Party. It's become the propaganda machine of the Democratic Party, and that's
Or one of the propaganda machines.
honestly the biggest propaganda machine of the Democratic Party, because like I remember more than 5, about 10 years ago, CNN was really about the only remaining mainstream media source that I trusted. And now I can't even trust CNN. Hello?
Hey, sorry, I was muted. But yeah, no, it's true. It's also kind of like Ingsoc from 1984 as well. Just completely putting the view you want out there.
Oh, and bringing that up, I actually had somebody the other day in a Facebook chat advocate for the concept of thought police and thought crimes.
Like,
They said, well, maybe it should be made illegal to think that I'm a cunt.
were they being serious, or please God,
no, they were
please tell me
honestly
they weren't being serious.
They were honestly being serious, and they threatened to sue me for calling them a cunt.
You can't do that. Good luck with that lawsuit.
Oh,
Have fun wasting your money.
so I wanna try to find the tweet. I posted I took a screen capture of the turf because it was just so amazing. I can't find it, but I can find it on my desktop and try to screen share maybe.
Hey Prince, what's a turf?
Trans exclusionary radical feminists. They're those cunts that think that I'm not really a woman.
Yeah, there's so many different.
Well, it's not even just that. It's that they think that trans women are men that are trying to.
Yeah, they think that the only reason that I went and got, that I'm transitioning to be a woman is so I can rape other women.
What the fuck? That's terrible. And also, like, I don't know. I feel like they think that you have the male privilege in addition to like, and you're trying to usurp their fight for feminism or something? Is that a thing?
Honestly, I don't know. I've never actually encountered a turf in meat space.
Yeah.
But
meat space?
Yes.
I like that. I'm gonna take that.
Please do. I want to spread it all over the internet.
Spread your meat space.
But I've never actually encountered a turf like outside of the internet, so I don't know how violent their rhetoric actually is, but their internet rhetoric is pretty fucking vile.
I think that they're more the type to like talk about stuff on the internet. Like they're the way that, I want to find this fucking um where where is it?
Nice,
Because this is
Margaret.
the thing is um these type of things, with the turfs and stuff, this is the type of thing that people are going to end up talking about, that it does actually have political implications, but it doesn't have anything to do with Trump at all. But people aren't, people, if you really start to break it down, and like, it does have to do with like these people that view the entire world around patriarchy, and who's more patriarchy than Trump, and that's where the stuff is coming from. Did I delete the tweet? I'm pissed off because I have a screen capture of it, but I don't know if I can find it because it's so funny. I took it because she wrote a really long thing, and it's so fucking crazy. Um, Let me find all. Wait, maybe if I talk about something, guys. I'm looking for something.
Okay. I don't know what to say though. Someone else say something.
Well, I was sitting there writing something out because I was Prince was on one of his tirades. It was a good tirade, so I didn't want to interrupt him. But like about the original topic, like Trump and his actions are going to be a staple of political conversation for the next 4 and probably 8 years. But the way we talk about it can hopefully change so that it's not always so sensationalist.
Yeah, I think it will fade over time, and I think it's kind of in flux right now. I think actually the whole PewDiePie thing has kind of made people realize that the media is just taking things out of context completely, and that was kind of a clash of internet culture and old media, and them completely not understanding what to do, and not only not understanding but manipulating clips to make it seem like something else just to get on that hype train and discredit him. And I think a lot of people realize that was going on, whereas usually they get away with it and nothing's brought up about it. But I feel like a lot of them have actually backed down about this one thing, which is good.
I don't even think it's anything new. I think the only reason that this became as big as it did was because of who it was. Because it's fucking PewDiePie.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can say bad about the guy. And like, so when they do it to Sargon, or when they do it to Kraut, or when they do it to us comedians, or when they
try to take down Bearing, since you cut out again.
Yes.
this and this were good. I'll have to apologize and I'll have to backpedal on this. But Peter didn't have anything to backpedal on. Mm-hmm. He was just a funny guy that plays games and does shock value comedy.
Yeah,
like and not even like outrage shock value comedy. It's just like the way they do those cheap scares at in horror movies. He does the cheap laughs for things, and it's good. It's a little cheap, but it's good. And there's nothing bad about what PewDiePie does, and the way they went after him and sitting there calling him a nut. It was just like, okay, wow, you went after somebody who was basically above reproach and tried to demonize the guy, and you failed so miserably, and did it so publicly that it's the same thing that's been happening for a long time. It's just this time it made them look really, really bad.
Yeah, it was really easy to show that they manipulated things because online you have all the context readily available, so people could just go see what was actually in his videos and disprove it. So joke's on them.
And well, PewDiePie has been the biggest YouTuber for what, like 7 years now?
Wow.
I think he's been 6 or 7 years. He got
and there have been so many angry YouTubers that have tried to run smear campaigns trying to bring his channel down. It hasn't worked yet. The mainstream media has nothing on a 13-year-old with a vindictive streak.
Yeah, there was that Markiplier drama back, like, was that 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that
what
was
happened with that again?
I don't even remember anymore. I just remember those two sitting there making videos of each other, just making fun of each other. And like, if it was like for a good month, and it was one of the few times I actually watched Markiplier just to I could get both sides of it.
Hmm.
But it was just adorable sitting there watching those two just make fun of each other for about a month straight, and then it just went away. But I think that started out with originally Markiplier. There was some beef or whatever between those two, and he was trying to take PewDiePie down a level or down a peg, and
Yeah.
then it didn't work.
I
Hey,
used to really not like PewDiePie at all because I just didn't get the whole playing video games and screaming thing.
yeah,
but-
I've never really followed PewDiePie either.
Oh, for the last like year and a half, dude, he's been amazing. He's like one of my favorite YouTubers now, which I thought I'd never say. It's bizarre as hell, but I think he's hilarious. And all the time at my house, I'm just doing the PewDiePie voice. I'm like, hey, what's on the TV? Which I guess he stole from Filthy Frank, but I don't like Filthy Frank.
Oh,
I don't know.
you're
Why
a
does
horrible
I
person.
tried to watch a couple videos, but I don't get it. I don't get it.
Okay, yeah, I can,
Why do you guys like him?
That I can get. He's definitely an acquired taste.
Yeah. I also really dislike what's his name? iDubbbz.
Oh, I
I don't
fucking
get
hate
it.
iDubbbz.
I don't get it.
He's
I
real
hate
hit or
it.
miss
He's
for
so
me.
annoying. And people say Chris Ray Gun's like iDubbbz. I don't see it because I love Chris Ray Gun and I hate
I love
iDubbbz.
Chris Ray Gun.
Yeah, I love him
Chris
too.
Reagan is a lot like iDubbbz, but it's there's still a very, very vast difference between the two.
I feel like iDubbbz is just stupid and annoying.
Like, to me, iDubbbz seems
Shots
like
fired, iDubbbz.
to me, iDubbbz seems like the cheap knockoff of Chris Ray Gun.
Uh-huh.
And,
Huh.
like,
Okay.
JT Ogre in the chat wants to know if he can come on, Prince, if you get a minute.
Let me take a I will JT. I don't actually know that person.
It's up to you. He's cool. We were on live stream the other week. It was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, you can send him the link if you want.
I am just a Jew.
Okay. Let's see. How do I get the link, you guys? Just copy paste or?
Here. I will post it in the side chat.
Okay, thanks. I probably could have just looked at my Twitter. I just realized, but
That is actually a very good question, Valenska.
what's the question?
What shade of lipstick you're wearing?
Oh, hold on. I will go get it. 1 second. I'll be back because I'm not sure. 1 sec. I'll go find that out for you. Yay.
So like I starting this stream, I want to know what are like I want to come up with some clever subject ideas for videos that like are going to have political ramifications, but like like in the way that like talking about feminism prior to this election was actually helping defeat Hillary Clinton, like all I have to do is make videos about social justice warriors and Hillary Clinton because that was her weapon. So, attacking her strategy was helping defeat her, and I'm glad that I helped defeat her. Fuck her. But I kind of want to like recalibrate to a certain degree and have a little bit more of some new ground to cover, some new directions to go in. So like I don't know, brainstorm, I guess is what we should be doing. Is like,
well, I have one thing. I've been I've been working and writing a script for some of these for a couple of months now, and now that I have my new computer, I'll actually start putting stuff out. But I've really been thinking about trying to do some etymology and political theories, like, and get down to the core of what they really are, and not the well, this is what it feels like, and this is a description of this very complex term, and I'm going to use my description of this term as a definition, because that doesn't ever work, and fuck you, stop doing it. It's a pointless task. Stop doing that shit with feminism, with any other political label or whatever. It's pointless and dumb. So I've been sitting there writing out some etymology, or kind of I get into the metaphysics of the ideas of some of the political labels. It's just what never mind. That's just a me thing, I guess.
Okay, well, no, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure I completely follow the train of thought. Like,
I kind of went.
Well, like instead of saying, "All right, this is what I am. I'm a this," like, and then from there explaining what that is to me, going, "All right, these are what these ideas are. Let's see what I match with, and if I don't, I am not that label, because the label doesn't mean anything if it doesn't match what you are," type of thing. And then just really getting down into like what the terms mean and where they came from and how they've changed over the years.
okay, yeah, that's okay. I see what you're saying. Um, yeah,
And
yeah.
I can send you some of the stuff I've written on it. I've recorded a couple things, but I deleted it because it's on my shitty mic, and all the audio is crap. So
Oh.
Somebody asked me in the chat, "Will I make a video about Milo Yiannopoulos?" Huh.
another.
Can you
Yeah,
already?
yeah. I haven't. I've made like 4, 5 where I talk about him. So that's not a very that's a
Your Milo videos
She's
are
an
actually
avid
really
viewer.
because I can feel like how much you love and hate Milo every time you talk about Milo. It's like, I love this guy. He's a fucking prick. Like,
I would. It's not
God
that he's
damn it, I hate him.
it's not that he's a prick so much actually that bothers me. What it really is that thing where he acts a lot like I did when I was younger. Like I was really a lot like that. When I was probably I would say aged 23 through my maybe up to about being like 30 or so. I was kind of like that. I was just like, but especially when I was like in my like 23 to 25, like that very like egotistical, but like making a joke out of your own egotism, so it's kind of okay because you're just joking, but you're not joking. Like,
Yeah.
I was very much like that. It's like he copied it. Like I swear to God, like I'm like, was he following me on the internet? Like when like did he rip it off or something, because it was so much like it. So it's easy for me, when you see people that remind you of how you used to be, it's
Yeah.
totally like easy to rip on them in a way.
Milo is a Prince clone, confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes you look back and cringe at yourself a little bit. And especially then you have this weird balance of understanding the person and then being like, move beyond it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's like half the reason that people attack Milo for 2 real reasons. One is that he says mean things about people.
Mhm.
It's not really so much his opinions, because most of his opinions are true, like his criticisms of feminism, but it's the way in which he says them, and he's like extra, like he's totally willing to just like call people fat as insults and stuff. Which gets him more ratings, like more people tune in to hear him talk because of like, oh, have you heard this crazy guy? He's, so, and I did that exact same thing. I would say like, I was like kind of a major dick on the internet to people all the time, but it gets more attention. Like people notice it more, if you sugarcoat and like try to sound nice, like people don't really pay so much attention.
Yeah.
But then people have axes to grind with you. You develop a big list of enemies, and then also people hate people who are egotists. They just there's people who want to take them out, and so you develop a gigantic pool of haters, and that pool of haters will not rest until they cut you down a peg. And so I
Yeah.
sort of saw that and coming for Milo, and now it's actually really started to hit him, you know.
It's like a love him or hate him type of thing, and you have to have a big personality to get that kind of, it, what's the word? Reaction from people. So he's
Mhm.
definitely doing that right, at least.
Milo kind of lost me, lost all support from me anyway, when he totally mischaracterized the statistics on trans people's involvement on sex-based
Yeah.
crimes.
Well,
Yeah,
Like,
that seems.
what's weird about that is that, like, I wonder where he was going with that. Like, was it because I have never heard him say anything like that at all. Like, I don't think anyone had. And um, it's like, was somebody paying him to say that on the Bill Maher show? And like, where were they going to go with that? But then the pedophilia thing came, and it's like they had to like change direction. But it's almost like,
oh, and like I have no doubt that Breitbart had paid Milo to say that.
yeah, yeah,
And honestly, that just makes me lose even more respect for the man, because if you can buy, I don't trust somebody if you can buy what they say.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's it. That okay. Actually, so the two reasons I gave for people like disliking Milo, which are that he said mean things and he's an egotist. Those are the main, like, these people think in their heads, oh, I don't like him because he's anti-feminist and I'm a feminist. No, no, that's not really what it is. Because you would hate Karen Strawn too, but you don't probably because you never even heard of her because she doesn't say crazy shit all the time. Usually she's relatively calm and collected.
I love
Um,
Karen Strong.
yeah, yeah, and and she does a better job ripping apart feminism than Milo does. Technically, like if you actually really watch her videos, like there's no way you can, walk away from that still liking feminism. But like, uh with Milo, what it really is that he says mean things and they have an ego. That's what makes them not like him. What makes me annoyed with him the most is that, and this is something I never was when I was like him and I was like a provocateur and that was an egotist. I was never a hired. No one was paying me, and I was completely sincere about basically everything. I mean, there might have been some moments where I wasn't sincere about some shit, and I was just trying to, I don't know, shake the pot. But no one else was telling me what to say ever.
Yeah.
And it does bug me to see somebody who utilizes a sort of a similar strategy of like making points that I used to use, who was getting paid for it,
I
um
wonder if they if they didn't pay him off, or if they just gave him false statistics and he was just shooting from the hip and going with it
He's
and
smart to
didn't
fall for
research
that.
it.
He's really
What?
too smart to fall for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's too smart to fall for it too. But it's weird, like, um people, I talked about, I mentioned the statistic thing in one of my videos, and people had some different theories about why it was, why where those numbers could have come from, like what he's saying, because I've known him to be generally pretty factually accurate when he talks about numbers or something. So my theory was that maybe it came from talking about if people use the wrong bathrooms or they have to piss on the street. But then somebody said that if you take into account prostitution as a sex crime, many transgender people are prostitutes and get persecuted because it's hard to find employment, and transitioning is expensive. And
Yeah, like I damn near went down that path myself.
mhm. Yeah, so um that if you took into account that, then that would maybe make sense. I don't know. I want to say that there isn't that many ways that it would make sense, but
And
um
I don't really think that the uh statistic of sex crimes is thrown in there with that, because damn it, I'm stoned. The weed's hitting me now.
Like, There's one argument that the honey badgers made a while ago, and on its surface, it bugged me because it just seemed so bullshit, and it seemed like they were just kind of going like taking a step too far on the MRA train. That I was like, nope, I'm not going to follow you there. But the more and more I've thought about it, I can't really argue against it anymore. Like I don't have any good arguments for it. But the whole transgender bathroom issue is really just everyone thinks men are rapists, so bathrooms aren't safe for women.
Yeah, I don't get the whole ordeal. I feel like
Well-
transgender people, the majority of them could have used the bathroom of their choice, no problem. And
I can, as long as I don't speak.
yeah, well, it doesn't. I feel like going to the bathroom is not usually a predatory behavior, and if people are going to sexually assault someone in the bathroom, they're going to do it whether or not they can. I never understood the logic behind that.
You know, there is one demographic of people that actually do disproportionately victimize young children in bathrooms, and it is not transgender women.
What is it?
It's priests.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I would think that would be like maybe in the church bathroom, but those are probably unisex.
Yeah, it's usually the most private place that the priest can get a hold of the kid.
Yeah.
Most church bathrooms are single use.
Or in their office. I don't know.
I don't understand how.
My preacher took me to the bathroom.
I don't understand how this guy. Okay, like no offense, but this Scotch McGinnis guy in the chat has a wrench, and I don't know how he got it because I don't even know who he is.
Scotch has a wrench in
Does that mean
everyone's
he's a
fucking
mod?
chat. I don't know how Scotch gets all these wrenches, but he has a wrench in everyone's fucking chat.
Okay, that must be his little thing then.
Tell
Like,
us, Scotch McGinnis.
Well, it says he's a moderator, though.
yeah, I don't know because I don't know him, and I don't know how he got. Like, I'm like, did I get drunk and give it to someone I didn't know? But
oh, he said you gave it to me.
okay, well, I guess I don't know. I know. I'll take it away if you do anything annoying. I
Be a
guess.
good boy, Scotch. Don't censor the chat.
Yeah. I'm mostly fine with people chatting. So I want to try to like get back sort of to the subject. What are some like other political issues that are like how can we talk honestly about like one of the things that's annoying me on Facebook is those fucking people who have their avatars on Facebook, their default photos set to the fucking hijab American flag drawing.
I haven't seen that
You guys
yet.
haven't seen it?
No.
It's
I
fucking
try-
everywhere on Facebook.
I log on to Facebook for about 10
It is.
minutes a day, and I sit there and check my notifications, I check my messages, and then I get the fuck off.
I think Facebook is just SJW land now. It's like the new Tumblr or something. Like I think that they did like a cleanse during the election, and like everybody got sick of all their fucking censoring. Like, and because yeah, I got censored for calling this cunt a bully, and like it just seems like yeah. But here I'll find it. Hijab. Oh, I found it. I found it already. It is not hard to find.
I'm
This
trying
fucking
to find it on mine.
No, I got it. I'll screen share.
Okay.
This fucking thing is everybody's default photo on Facebook now. And it's oh wait, hold up. I need to present to everyone. I forgot. Okay. Present to everyone. This thing. And it's just it's just the cringiest thing in the world to me. It's just like it doesn't get any worse than this.
That's actually kind of scary to me. I don't
It's terrifying.
I don't ever want to have to be I don't want to ever be in a situation where I'm forced to wrap my head like that. I don't want to have anybody tell me what I'm supposed to wear.
Yeah, and like the fact that these people are so stupid that they think that they're it's some sort of like rebellious act against the patriarchy to like post this as their default photo. I mean, it was bad enough when you would see like every other white person on your Facebook friend list to having like Black Lives Matter or like stop killing black people as their default photo or something like that. That was like slightly cringy because it was like, oh, you guys are just virtue signaling, and like we know that you don't actually like hang out with that many black people, and like we
But
that but like
this,
but this
this
is
right
just
here,
like you're just
this here looks like a call for theocracy.
yeah, it is. And it's like and oh no, you know what, I want to talk some shit. I want to talk some shit about somebody that we actually know, because
Yeah.
I love when Prince gets bitchy. It's fun.
no, Lyra, you know that fucking guy Kyle who does
Yeah.
groundswell.
Yeah, I kind of followed. Like
Did you see
well,
when
I tried to play moderator in that fight, if you'll remember.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
tried
That's
to
right.
get both of you to
I
calm
miss
the
this
fuck
fight.
down.
No, fuck that guy. I'm over it. I'm over it.
I miss this. What is this drums?
Is he the one that he's one of the mods from like DCC2, right?
No, no, not at all. No, he is somebody that he is like sort of the leader of this
Local radical fairy group, basically.
but it's not even a radical fairy group. Like not even is it just not actually a radical fairy group. He admits that it's not a radical fairy group.
What is it supposed to be?
Well, okay.
Or what is it?
It started. It was supposed to be a radical fairy group. Radical fairy group is a gay male space. It's like for gay men. And then intersectional feminists get pissed off about that. They think they can't they can't.
Exclusionary.
Yeah, and also radical fairy spaces will often take trans women into. It's for people who were male, and
It's for people that have been marginalized from society, and they're queer with a dick.
yeah, basically that's how, because when it started, it was in like the late 60s, 70s, when there basically like wasn't actually transgender women. Like there were people who kind of dressed as women that were largely drag queens, but I don't think they had medical transitions at the time. So that's when it started, and it was basically like, yeah, we are people who are born with dicks. A lot of them were Vietnam veterans and stuff, and we want to have our own space to heal. And also I think that they wanted to get away from the like radical feminists that were already like causing problems in the queer in the gay liberation movement, because there's like I've read old essays from the 70s, and they were already like bullying gay men and trying to like censor them, and just the way, the same shit that they do now. So
But then you've got like on the flip side of that, there's also a lot of the pro-feminist radical fairy literature from around the same time too, like the writings of Harry Hay, and Faggots and Their Friends is another one from around that same time, or
wait,
a little later than that.
Harry Hay have pro-feminist writing?
From I'm pretty sure I remember reading some pro-feminist essays from Harry Hay.
See, I don't know if I would really like to take a look at those, because from what I've heard about Harry
I'll see if
Hay,
I can find them and get you some links.
from what I heard about Harry Hay, he was pretty hardcore about not having women on the land, and like
I yeah,
you
he
know
was
that you know that
hardcore about not having them on the land,
oh,
but like he was pretty pro-feminist in his politics. Like he and
when you say pro-feminist, do you mean pro women's liberation?
pro-equality.
Okay, pro-equality. Very different than pro-feminist.
Yeah,
Very
good
different
point.
than
For
pro-feminist.
the check on that, but he very pro-equality.
Yeah, so very pro women's rights. No, that doesn't surprise me. But like, okay, because somebody tried. That cunt, that Stella Maris who took over Wolf Creek. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I've never actually been to Wolf Creek.
Okay, well, there's this feminist lesbian tyrant that rules Wolf Creek with an iron fist, and I think she makes money off of the gatherings. And she bans men left and right from their own sanctuary. It's like her thing, because I think just because she
Oliver was actually telling me this story. Like another fairy, the reason he left Wolf Creek is because of this radical feminist lesbian that was kicking all the men out.
Oh yeah, everyone hates her. Everyone hates her, like all over the entire like nation. She had to actually get off the nominus board, the what's it called? It's like a council, like like this a consensus thing.
Yeah,
Because she was
Calamus.
it was not it's called nominus. And it was because everybody realized that who the fuck is this? I don't.
Oh, there's a Mike. What's up, man? Sorry.
Hey,
Hello.
oh, you're the dude. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I was having
From
a time
Tacoma.
Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, it became a thing where the nominus committee that was in charge of all of the decision making of this land, that like they'll have gatherings and there'll be like 500 people there. It was really just her in charge, because she was so manipulative and like just such a shamer and so intensely dedicated to everything, that if anybody ever crossed her, she would call them a misogynist and get them banned. Like she had such a heinous grip over the other members of the committee that she could just anything she wanted, she would get them on board, and she did it out of fear. She would, if anybody would defy her, she would turn everybody against them. And so everybody had to follow what she did, because they were all scared of her turning being they didn't want to be next,
How did she
basically.
weasel her way into that level of power, though?
I don't know exactly. And the guys who there's the two guys who have a problem with her, like the people that I could have learned about it from. One of them is he's messed up in the head. Well, they're both messed up in the head. They're one of them I was like kind of friends with for a while, but after the Trump election, he's like just he's lost it. Like he's sharing the most fake news stories. Like he shared a story about how there were supposed to be 200,000 National Guard troops that were going to come and like rally up all of the illegal Mexicans, and which was just blatantly untrue. And when I tried to explain to him that it was untrue, he unfriended me.
What?
And was no, but I don't actually know this guy, but he just like, I've never met him. The only reason I made friends with him is because he and I both hated this woman. And he had lived.
Are we back to talking about Kyle?
No.
Okay.
I actually know Kyle in person. I've known him for a long time.
Okay.
I knew him before he was trying to like be some fairy leader. Like he wasn't at all like that when I first met him. He was just some guy,
A fairy leader. Unpack that for me.
The radical fairy spaces, it's land for gay men that want to basically be faggoty together. But the problem is, it was land, like commune type land, and then like a whole culture developed, and so there's like people who define as fairies, mostly on the West Coast in cities, but there's been a kind of a hostile takeover by intersectional feminists who've decided that they can't. It's not cool for them. They can't deal with the fact that gay men have their own spaces. They think that that's an extension of patriarchal privilege. So they've decided that they need to invade and take over, and they've been very successful in doing that.
Is it just me, or do they feel like they got to take over gay spaces first? Like that's the first thing they go to, like the Florida shooting.
It's because it's easy. It's easy because it's easy to trick gay men into thinking that they need feminism, and the reason
solidarity.
Yeah, and it's extra annoying too, because gay men, theoretically, we have the most easy, readily available way of proving that feminism is bullshit, because it's so easy for gay men to prove that male privilege and the patriarchy theory is not true. Like we are immediate examples that male privilege is bullshit. It's like,
That is so true, man. So true.
yeah, but at the same time, feminists can they are good at manipulating gay men, because gay men a lot, well, first of all, gay men like women a lot. It's just a thing. Like 97% of gay men just really like women a lot, which is why if you ever meet a gay man, all of his favorite music artists are like bands with female singers, or like pop divas, like 9 times out of 10. That's just how it is with gay men. And so they like women, have lots of female friends, and then grew up usually being bullied by straight guys in school for being faggoty. And so it's easy for them to trust women, and it's easy for feminists to try to trick gay men and say, well, all homophobia is rooted in misogyny. The only reason that straight men bash you is because you're kind of girly. And they start with the particularly girly gay men, and then they convince those gay men, and then they're around, then that guy's hanging out with the feminists, and then they sort of, they it's like, it's kind of just worm their way in that way. And so yeah, I don't know how this woman really rose to power in the in Wolf Creek, Oregon, but her name is Stella Maris. She's a fucking cunt. She needs to go. But I almost think though that, like, if it wasn't her, it would be somebody else.
Yeah.
Like there's another feminist named Rain Crow who is also a total crazy bitch. That they ultimately, I think that it's not like every feminist wants to do this, like wants to take over, but there's enough feminists that realize that this ideology is something. Jay, I'm muting you because I'm muting you because you were making noise, but you can unmute yourself. So you have to unmute yourself, Jay. So this woman is irritating, and there's another one that's like her. I think enough feminists realize that they can amass power in social spheres by
piggybacking off of gay communities.
Yeah, and well, and even female communities,
Yeah.
like if there's enough people, they if they know this ideology really, really well, they can sort of become like a priestess of it, and then they can start organizing things and organizing events and using the ideology as sort of the marketing tool. And once they sort of do that, I think that the way that this woman did was able to get the power that she has now. This is just my theory. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm pretty sure that this is true. Lyra might have heard about it through our friend Oliver. I should ask Oliver about it, because I'd like to hear. Oliver's kind of a little twat, though. I don't really like him that much.
Yeah, he is kind of a bitch.
Yeah,
I'm starting to feel like the
Oliver's
periods
like,
of
Honestly, if I were to become an intersectional feminist, it would probably be because of people like Oliver. He's gorgeous, he's white, he's rich.
he thinks he's a lot smarter than he is.
So what happened with this dude, though?
Oh,
so I got the backstory.
Wait,
now.
no. So I want to say how this woman. I think that this woman rose into power at the radical fairy culture. Is that she found she had been involved loosely with the culture, with the land for a long time, and there was probably a period where they needed finances. They weren't making a whole bunch of money to maintain the land, because it's pretty big land, and they have like 3 different houses, and they grow crops, and so they weren't making a bunch of money, and they needed money for renovations or something. They decided to allow her to help organize an event, because she was networked with all the feminists this is in Oregon, so she was able to get a whole bunch of like intersectional feminist type. I don't know if they were that evolved, but fucking like witches and all the fucking that type of like fucking people. She was able to get a whole bunch of them to come to an event and then pay to be there for the weekend. And she was able to help them financially by helping organize with her little feminist minions. And then they
money's
started,
power.
and then they became reliant upon her feminist minions. But then she started demanding that the land start catering to the feminist minions, and it wasn't. And now it's no longer for gay men. It's more for her feminist minions.
That would make total sense.
Yeah, that's what I think basically happened. But it got to be the point where she was allowing her feminist minions to blatantly abuse the gay men, like blatantly abuse the gay men. And so this guy Kyle, he has land down in like California, and I thought for a while that his land was going to be like sort of an alternative to the one in Oregon for the West Coast ferries.
It's just an extension.
It's just an extension. I know. It's basically Wolf Creek 2. And so he ended up being lame and becoming, and he didn't used to be like all feminist and shit. I thought maybe he wasn't, but now he is. And so I started arguing with him because, some other motherfucker tried to like lie about me saying I was like a transphobic white supremacist, but some guy who I've never even met, like somebody who I don't even know who this person is, who's heard rumors about me because I called somebody a transgender and
yeah, and that's actually when I stepped into the argument and said that you were anything but a trannyphobe.
Yeah, yeah. And the guy ended up taking off because he knew that it's like, oh my god, fuck that guy though. I would whoop that guy's ass because like I don't even fucking know this guy. He's going around the fucking I don't even know. I've never heard of him. I don't know. I've never met him in person, and he's going around telling people that I'm a white supremacist transphobe.
This is how you know, like, those words don't have any power anymore. Like, if it can be used against somebody with literally not knowing who the fuck the person is, then it means fucking nothing. Like, if getting called a racist, white supremacist, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, all the other phobics, fucking all that shit. Yeah. If it can be said against somebody you have no idea who they are, you've never heard them speak, you don't know their political affiliations, you don't know their ideas, you don't know their beliefs, then what you're saying means fucking nothing. Shut your mouth, you dumb hole.
Yeah,
it's just like people's propensity to compare people to Hitler now. That happens so often that a Hitler comparison has absolutely no meaning anymore.
Yeah, they're delegitimizing all of it. I feel like white people's biggest fear used to be being called a racist, but I think now a lot of people are wising up to the fact that we're just called racists no matter what we do, so fuck it.
Yeah. So the reason that I got into this comment thread on the guy's timeline was because he was talking about Milo Yiannopoulos. Now, of course, he doesn't know anything about Milo Yiannopoulos. He like
none
at
of
all.
them do.
Yeah, no, at all. And so he was like, "Oh, I can't believe he was talking about transphobic stuff. Why do people like this guy?" And I posted the clip where you know the clip that was very popular that got around the internet where he's wearing the kind of like teal dark green blue jacket, and a feminist asks like, "Hey, don't you know that feminism is just the equality for the genders?" And you kept saying that it's not, but it's just equality for the genders. And he goes, "Darling, it's not. And do you know how it's not? How you know that it's not? It's because women are leaving it in droves. It's very convenient to just say, oh, it's all about equality, and then just treat men like shit, and then refer to the dictionary definition. Women see through it." Did you guys see that that clip? It was a very popular clip. So I posted that clip and I said, well, people like him because of clips like this, which they love. And then Kyle, this fuck that we know, is all like, I don't like it. And I'm like, well, you know what? You should maybe start to pay attention to that because you run a radical fairyland. And if you're not careful, you're going to end up like Wolf Creek, and some fucking feminist is going to come kick you off your own land because she didn't get a big enough cut from a fucking gathering or some shit. And you'll wish you listened to me.
The biggest problem that's going on at Groundswell is not necessarily radical feminists taking over, but it's Black Lives Matter radical feminists that are taking over. Like
same difference.
Yeah, intersectional feminism.
The difference is Groundswell was started by a couple of white faggots.
Yeah.
And now they're having like there was an event that they had there last summer where it was for people of color only.
I remember that, yeah.
The two founders of the entire land project couldn't go to their own event.
But isn't it a commune? Did they have to like say all white people stay indoors today? We're having a party or something?
Pretty much, because it's nothing but white people that live on the land. It's like 4 white guys, Kevin Fair, and a couple of older guys.
That thing actually made it in. That thing actually made it into
the Guardian.
Sargon's This Week in Stupid.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I posted Sargon's This Week in Stupid in the Bay Area Radical Fairies group. I was like, you guys shouldn't talk to the Guardian. You end up in fucking videos like this.
So, Prince, you're in the Bay. I hate to break in, but you're in the Bay Area. I'm going to keep muting myself because I got some nonsense going on here. But you're in the Bay Area, like San Francisco?
No.
I am.
But I used to.
Because, I heard somebody say something about NSOG, and there's a bunch of, and I'm way off topic, so I'll shut up after I say this, but there's a lot of talk about the Bohemian Grove, and a lot of people don't realize that they use it in a fucked up way now, but that started out as a way, because look, I'll turn the camera on right now so everybody can see me. I am not gay, but I would kiss the Prince of Queens on the lips and with the tongue and everything. I told you this. I told you, Prince, because I left something I'm not going to share.
I would pay money to see that too.
Oh, that's you. Oh, you're the guy.
No, wait, because I got way off topic and I want to get back on. The Bohemian Grove was a place where homosexuals and freaks like me that do all the parts of blues music and put it on, it's a place where we could go and piss on the trees and be our fucking selves and let all the assholes that are queer haters go the fuck on. And I loved how you tied that feminism thing in. So now I'll shut up if anybody, whatever.
Hey, Jay, are you in the Bay Area?
No, sir, but I've been out there, and I'm the kind of guy that even though I am enthusiastically cisgendered heterosexual, I've still danced with a few dudes and fucking had a great time. And they only ask me twice if I'm gay. And after the second time I say, no, I'm really not gay. I never get fucking hassled. Anybody that thinks that a gay guy's a predator can suck my Jew cock. I'm going to leave for a second. I'm going to smoke some weed. If I can do it under, I'll just smoke it. But
well, I've got a bowl pack, so.
Okay, all right. Well, I won't go anywhere then. Let's continue. I didn't mean to break it. And if it gets loud, I'll cut it right off, friends. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So yeah, this guy was just being like stupid in the comment thing. So I told him, I was like, well, you better be careful, because like the some fucking feminist, if you don't learn about feminists, like what they're actually like, some feminist is going to come take over your land and like kick you off your own land for not getting a big enough cut from some gathering or something, because that's what they do. Like she'll worm her way in there and then start inviting her friends and then say, oh, well, I brought in more people, I deserve a bigger cut. And then you say, well, I actually live here and I don't make money any other way. And then she'll say, well, technically I now own the land because I have more money, and she'll turn everybody against you, saying that you're a misogynist that was trying to steal her money, and then you'll get voted off the land because she's willing to stoop very low. I didn't say it that well. I probably said it worse, or just very, very briefly. And then he said, well, I'm a feminist. I'm not worried about feminists. There's many awesome feminists on the land, including myself. And I was like, you don't know anything about feminism. And then he started trying to be a bitch to me. And so I just let him have it. And I was like, look, I don't think you're cool. I think you're a bad person. I think you're pathetic. I think that you're trying to be a leader in what was supposed to be a leaderless movement, because the Radical Fairies was supposed to be a leaderless movement. That was like one of the things about it. I think you're trying to be a leader in a leaderless movement, and you don't know what you're doing. And I think you're just trying to tell everybody what they want to hear to remain popular, but it's not going to work. That does not get you that far in life. Because eventually, if that leaves you open up, like you can't just you have to define what you're really all about as a person. You can't just try to tell the masses what they want to hear. That's temporary. That only works for so long. And then I made I put like in quotes, I said, hey, oh my God, can we have an event at Groundswell that's only for Islamic women of color? Which is obviously, that's like a joke, because
Islamic queer women of color.
Yeah, sorry. Can we have an event at Groundswell that's for Islamic queer women of color? And he actually wrote, he was like, I would love to do that. Do you know any?
I did, but
like 5
ISIS cut their fucking heads off.
What a world we live in.
I think Professor Farnsworth said it best in Futurama's Evolution episode. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I've been quoting that so much for the last few months.
Like I have posted that meme on Facebook so many times that it's just over memed now.
Mm-hmm.
That and nihilism intensifies are my 2 favorite memes at the moment. Just posted to everything. Just nihilism intensifies. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, me either. So let's go start our own planet. What about that? Listen, I'm way off topic. I'm just going to shut up because I'll get so far off topic that you all will kick me out. So I'm just going to be quiet and listen. Hey, I have a friend, and I'm trying to find 2 Bluetooths. That's why it's going on and off. He had a stroke and died on Christmas, and now he's back from the dead, and it's no joke. He'll probably let you see him on the camera here. So I'm just going to be off. And listen, if I get loud, Prince, just tell me. I have no problem shutting up. I'll mute myself or you mute me because I have a loud voice and I'm a fucking big bull. I was about to say bull dyke because that's basically what I am.
It's a big bull dyke over here.
Die. Hey, and if anybody asked me anything in the last couple of minutes, I'm sorry. I wasn't ignoring you. I was just off. And I'm going to be off again for another couple minutes.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Prince, for having me. I love you, dude. Your shit. I'm listening while I listen to the other hecticness in my house. And man, you have a brilliant mind, and so do the other people that you've picked here. Day, it's so wonderful to see you.
Oh, thank you. It's very nice to hear. Yeah, I write all my scripts before I add the photos. So a lot of people tell me that they listen to my scripts without watching because they can do that because they're sort of made to be able to do that. Which, yeah, I've realized the only 2 other YouTubers that are pretty comparable to what I do as a YouTuber, like I want to say Sargon, but I'm not, because Sargon is, he goes over articles and reads them and uses footage a lot. Like it's not exactly response videos most of the time because he usually is talking about a subject, but using things to sort of illustrate what he's talking about. So not so much like Sargon, but 2 people who are really a lot like me are Wizard of Cause, who I've actually talked to in a hangout. He was in a hangout a few weeks.
Yeah, I actually saw that hangout with you and Wizard of Cause. I was following him around the same time I started following you.
I haven't heard of him yet.
I really love Wizard of Cause, and I agree with him on almost everything he says, but the few things I do disagree with him on, like, it hurts me that, like, I disagree with him so vehemently on those small things. It's like, I love you. Oh, what the fuck did you just say?
So, him and Vernaculus. I would say, like, Wizard of Cause, myself, and Vernaculus all make very similar videos.
I tried to like Vernaculus, but he just seems like too much of a stuck-up, like, know-it-all for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I can see what you're
think
saying.
a lot of people in the skeptic community are kind of stuck-up know-it-alls underneath the surface, but he just comes across as, like, condescending constantly, like, to a fault. I can appreciate that, like, to a very high level, but there's a point where it gets, like, too arrogant and too
I think that comes from him being younger.
Probably, yeah.
Because he's only like 23 or so.
Yeah.
I was a lot like that when I was about 23 and I would write about serious topics. I was very much like him. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of patience I really appreciate him.
I definitely I liked him for a while, but then, like, that theme of narcissism just kept getting in my way, and I'm like, but I think he does have, like, good ideas, and, I don't really dislike him. It's just not for me, at least not right now.
I feel that a little bit with Vern, but it's to bring up somebody entirely different. But Mike or Dr. Animercam, I love him, but every time I'm watching him, I feel like I'm being talked down to, and like I feel like worse about myself after I'm done with every video.
I haven't seen any of his videos.
I haven't actually watched. I can't get into his videos, even though I know that he's a cool guy. Like I've seen like little clips of him like playing guitar and stuff, and he seems like he's like cool. And I was actually on a hangout with him on oh, my phone is ringing. I have to mute for a second.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So, what should we talk about now?
More YouTubers we don't like.
I know what you're saying about the whole skeptics kind of coming off as
Yeah,
kind of snobby. I
think
get
we've
that.
all thought deep our whole lives, especially like before it was popular. So we probably have a little bit of that going on because we kind of saw this stuff before anybody else did. But now everybody's coming out of the woodwork, and we all kind of got that little bit of snark to us. I think it's a common theme. But I try not to come across as like too arrogant, just because you get more people to understand your point of view that way. And I feel like that's what I dislike about it. It's gonna turn like a lot of people off. And I know that's mostly the audience isn't for the other side, it's for our side or whatever. But I still feel like if you're gonna reach a broader audience, that's why I like a lot of Sargon stuff. Like he can cross a wide audience, and even like Kyle Kalinske, who is still like a progressive and does news stuff, but he's called out quite a bit, which is really interesting, especially with like TYT being a part of his policy.
Kyle Kalinske just comes off as like a slimy car salesman to me, though.
He's
like,
so cute.
He's cute, but he's slimy.
No, like, he's trying to come up in the world. He's doing a good job.
Maybe that's what it is.
He's trying to be professional, I think.
Like he's starting to be professional. Yeah, he's starting to get really good with it. But like I think like Kyle's at least not as bad as TJ. I mean, TJ goes out of his way to piss people off. The amazing atheist.
You can't sway anybody with TJ.
Yeah, like I used to like TJ, but that's when I was young and angry.
And
I'm not so angry anymore.
He's still in that.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get out of my angry atheist phase.
I went through that so young that I feel like I've been out of it forever.
Well, I hit the angry atheist phase when I was about like 16, 17. I think at the time that I actually realized I was an atheist. I think I was an atheist for a couple of years before that.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get out of it until like last year.
How old are you?
27.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
It's only been about a year since I've been out of my angry
Christianity. Fuck Islam. Fuck. Is it a religion? Fuck it. I hate them all. Like, you know, I was a debate me bro kind of guy. Like that was me.
And I feel like that's a lot of our background, and maybe that's why we come off as such dicks sometimes.
I didn't know.
The way I don't see condescension so bad as bad as a lot of other people do, because I look at it this way. I think that I think my beliefs are right. I'm open to having my beliefs changed, but I think my beliefs are right, and if I think I am right and you disagree with me, then I therefore think you are wrong.
Yeah, I actually am pretty similar about that, and okay, like I you guys are probably like not gonna say that I'm condescending if I ask, because you guys are guests on my channel.
Oh, I would.
We could be on.
Yeah,
you can be.
No, I get like people think I'm fucking incredibly condescending, like on Facebook especially.
Oh, you are on Facebook, and it's beautiful.
On Facebook you definitely are, and it is glorious.
Okay.
I think in your videos,
and I think it's necessary. I think it can be necessary because, like, when I deal, fuck off, dude. I'm on a.
Do you have a cat messing with you, or is it somebody calling you again?
Oh, he muted himself.
So
why do I have so many fucking bots sending me porn on Twitter? What the fuck?
You see, My Twitter feed is so like non-existent that I don't even have bots trying to send me stuff.
Okay, so I have to be condescending to certain people because honestly, it is the only way they'll learn. Like there are just like people who are just so like I'm sorry. I am not going to say that I am like that what I say is right and 100% true because there's always flaws to like basically every idea or statement.
Educate me, daddy.
But when it's to the point where like you are 98% right and somebody else is 1% right, you know, like the shit that they're talking about and they're trying to, you know, when you come across somebody who is telling you that the only way to not be racist in their eyes is to be a total fucking racist, which you come across almost daily, you need to tell that person that they are like that they are just wrong and that they and no excuses, no sugarcoating it. There is no way to deal with these people other than by saying that, you know, like you don't have to necessarily call them a well, no, it actually is kind of good to just call these people a racist and be like, oh, like if somebody says that, you know, the only reason that you would criticize Hillary Clinton is because you're white, which I literally that did happen to me. Like somebody who was a friend of mine who was a black guy, like he was like people were talking about like why won't you vote for Hillary Clinton? And I was like, well, many reasons. And he was like, well, easy for you to say, you're white. And I was like, so you're a racist, is what you're telling me. So you are a racist. It's amazing. I had so many.
Then he tried to pull that black people can't be racist line, didn't he?
Yeah, eventually. And no, and it was so funny because I predicted it even before. I was like, oh, it's so amazing to know how many friends of mine that I thought were totally cool, that I treated like were my friends, that I, you know, like trusted, that I would have trusted. And it turns out that they are racist against my race. That they are actually a racist, and I didn't know for years. And please, let's spare me the details of trying to redefine the word. Like, let's not go down that road, because if you do, I will take you to school and back. And there a few posts went by, back and forth, and eventually he was like, "Well, I'm just wondering about, you know, with like systemic power, how I could actually be racist." And I was like, "Oh, you had to do it. I knew you were gonna do it."
You know what's really crazy is that you know there's certain elements of the alt-right which are very very clever, and they've figured out ways to turn that around very quickly. So like when people come at them with all those typical arguments, they just turn it around and say, well, no, you're just anti-white. And then they stop in their tracks like, wait a minute, no, I'm not. Oh no, the witch hunt just turned against me. And it's
half of those people though, like the people that the racist, the people who are anti-white, they'll proudly say it. They will say, yes, I am anti-white. There's people in my extended social network that even people who used to be my friends, there's white people that I know who will say, well, why shouldn't you be anti-white? We are pretty awful.
Yeah, I can't have some self-respect. I can't do it.
No, I haven't. Still, in my area hasn't gotten that far, but I wouldn't believe it. I mean, they pretty much said that. I believe it when you say that. They pretty much said everything except that out here, at least where I'm at.
Well, it's really awful, and it's to the point where it's like it's not
dumb.
Even it's not even just
it's contrary to history. It's contrary to history. Like they obviously know nothing about, you know, the various like the post-colonial Africa or even before that. It's just contrary to history. It makes no sense at all. Well, everybody is equal in terms of the bad qualities that they have. Everyone is equal in terms of the bad qualities.
One of the things that people say that are, you know, maybe like alt-right or, you know, just conservatives to, you know, to like sort of defend white people that they do have a point about is that like white people, you know, still the majority in our nation, and yet ended slavery, ended segregation, elected a black guy, and have gone out of their way to bend over backwards to do everything they can to not be perceived as racist in contemporary culture. For the most part, not everybody, but you know, like they're like, I would say the majority of white Americans have bent over backwards to not be considered racist every step of the way, even though they were still the majority.
Yeah, and it seems like multiculturalism definitely is like a white Western ideal.
Yeah, and yet like so many of the people that I meet who are racial minorities, definitely like there's all sorts of cool racial minorities that, you know, like people who post comments on my channel all the time, for example. But like, there's so many people who are racial minorities who it's never even occurred to them to show the same respect towards white people, you know, and to be like, maybe I shouldn't hate all white people. They're just like, yeah, I can't hate white people even if I do, because structural power, because reasons, you know. And it's just like, you know, it's really a shame that, like, you know, the majority group has, so many of us have done everything we can to like not be racist, and you won't even pretend to match that favor.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous because none of, like, the majority of white people aren't in power, and we have done, like, a lot of the people that are alive today, nobody was involved with slavery or anything like that. So we don't get any credit for anything, and we still get vilified, even though none of us, I don't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah.
None of you do.
Like, most likely your ancestors didn't even have anything to do with anything.
No,
like,
they were from Italy and Canada.
I know that my ancestors didn't own slaves. Most of my ancestors died of black lung disease in fucking West Virginia.
That's racist, black lung.
Well, against coal miners.
Yeah.
So here's a story I'd like to share with you guys about this whole thing. I think a couple years ago, there's two different like Black Lives Matter groups in Tacoma. There's kind of one that tends to be a lot more inclusive and a lot cooler and nicer. They tend to emphasize more police brutality sort of stuff. There's another one called the Tacoma Action Collective, which is exactly what you guys are describing. You know, they witch hunt people, they go after people. I mean, they got all the typical stuff that we hear about. They decided to hold a meeting for white allies, and they had one of their white members give this talk, and it was one gigantic guilt trip. It was one gigantic guilt trip. If you want to fight against racism, here's the rules that we're going to give you. If you're going to go,
did you go to it or
no? I missed it because I was working, but I had a couple friends of mine that went, and they gave me the lowdown. I mean, so I think this was early on. This was I think around 2015. So I mean, Trump was kind of a specter, but he wasn't really where he's at now. And it pretty much went lockstep with Prince, with a number of your videos about him. You know, what the reasons for him being elected, because all it was a guilt trip. All it was, you know, if you're going to be white and you're going to engage in these struggles, so like we're going to put you in handcuffs. We're going to give you rules. We're going to tell you what's permissible and what's not. If you're going to help us out, you need to ask for permission. And then
actually, I always say it. I have a very easy way to say this. These people don't want allies. They want you to be their bitch.
They want slaves. Yeah. They want you to be. But see, so here's the worst part about it. Okay, so they have this discussion, right? And there's and the people that show up to this meeting are very well intentioned, and they really want to do well. Like they really want to like fight. You know, they want to struggle. And you know, Trump would come up, you know, and like I said, he was one of many candidates then, but there was no serious, I mean, a couple of people made points, but there was no serious discussion as to why a candidate like him would have a hearing in society in the first place. Like, what's the material reason why he would get as far as he could? Why is he resonating with people? Like, there was no discussion about that. It was just like, go lash yourself and ask for permission, because we're the gatekeepers of this, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but I've sort of talked about this. I think that a lot of the leadership from Black Lives Matter is a product of actual blatant cults that have been around for a while. And they've been in the Seattle area at least since the 90s. And I ran into people that were involved in them on two separate occasions. One was that So the guy who Mike, who just told that story, he lives in Tacoma, which is about 45 minutes away from Seattle. So same area. And when I was in, I think that these cults are largely on the West Coast, but I don't really know where, if they're probably in other places too. But Uhuru is one of them, the one that Gazi Kotso. Yeah, a friend of mine got involved in that in the early 2000s, and
Clavio.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad then. It wasn't as just like batshit crazy.
Oh, I heard this story before.
Yeah, well, I don't want to tell the whole story of that, but I had to do an undoing racism seminar when I was like in high school. My mom pressured me into it, and because it was a cult, one of the things is that like when you take it, they basically tell you that unless you actively spend your energy fighting white supremacy, you are compliant in it as a white person, especially. But people of color have to actively fight white supremacy too. Basically, everyone has to. And how do you fight white supremacy? Well, you get them to pay for this undoing racism two-day seminar. That's how you do it. And what they do in there is they guilt trip all the white. Okay, they guilt trip the white people the whole time, and they shame them and bully them. I was smart enough to know just not to talk. Like I basically just didn't talk the entire 2 days, which for me is like a big deal. But I was like, no, this is
torture.
It was absolute torture, honestly, overall, and not just because I couldn't talk, but just because like it was horrible. Like they were, if anything that you would say as a white person, they were trying to entrap you into saying something that they could bully you over. And what they asked us the question. So first we're going to ask the white people in the room, what do you like about white culture? And I was like, sounds like a trick question to me. You know what I mean? Like, because like you could be like opera, classical music, American food, musicals, blah blah blah. Like name, go down the list of all the things that white people invented that like you might like, but they would probably be like, no, but they stole rock and roll. Black people invented rock and roll. Like that. So, and I knew that. Like, so they would find some way to just get mad and or say that like somehow try to say that your enjoyment of. Right, but they were banking on the fact that you weren't going to answer actually, because they like this. This is the evolution of cult-like manipulation has along. So when you don't answer the question, then they say, see, because white people don't actually have any culture in the United States. There is no such thing as white culture. I'm black. I love rhythm. I love dance. I love, soul food. I love blah, 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 blah. And like, they like go on and on about how much they love black culture and how in order to become white, you had to be robbed of your individual ethnic culture. And so it was the whole weekend they spent like bullying white people and then telling all of the people of color, especially black people, of course, because black people are the only people of color that matter to these cults, which is why they still have like such a, why it's Black Lives Matter. And they'll actually get mad at brown, like people had brown lives or native lives matter hashtags, and they accuse them of appropriating, because the people that get into this shit are just obsessed with being like it all has to like
Prince, there was a campaign to have the newest Deus Ex game boycotted because the original draft of the game had augmented lives matter.
Oh, I know that about that. Yeah.
Are you serious?
It was this whole thing.
Oh, isn't that kind of a tribute? I mean, what the hell, guy?
Well, yeah, it kind of took an even-handed approach, showing both sides, and
it really did, and it was a beautiful game.
Oh.
Well, and they ended up taking out the references to Black Lives Matter. They took out the protesters holding the augmented lives matter to appease the masses.
Get out of my video games.
So they bullied everybody, all the white people, and then they tell the people of color that nothing in their life that has been hard for them is their fault or the fault of any sort of random circumstances. It's all just Whitey. Whitey's responsible for all of your problems. The reason why Asian people do better than black people in like they asked all the black people, like, why do you think that Asian people are able to move in as immigrants and succeed? And the black people were like, well, I don't know, they work harder. And they were like, no, it's not it. It's because Whitey won't let black people open up stores in their own neighborhood. There's racial zoning restrictions targeting black businesses. and Asian people come in there and they open up shops because white supremacy and some shit like that, you know. So
we have the whole Japanese internment camps and stuff.
yeah,
Well,
I don't.
when I was living in the Tenderloin, though, it's interesting that you bring up the fact that, you know, there's not any black-owned businesses in inner cities because, you know, white supremacy or whatever. But when I was living in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, I literally saw 5 different black people open 5 different businesses, and every single one of them got shut down because they were trafficking drugs or people.
Oops. Don't be a caricature, Kevin.
Yeah, so that cult that I went to, that fucking 2-day undoing racism. Oh, and then at the end of it, if they do brainwash you, they convince you to try to get other people to go. And I know that same cult, it like was existing at least last decade, because some friend of mine got brainwashed by it, and he was this Asian guy, and he fucking, oh my god, I would love to. I just I have a lot of anger for this particular person, because he was a friend of mine and he was an Asian guy, and then he got the dark side get to him. He got pissed off because he couldn't he only wanted to date white guys, and not enough white guys wanted to date him, basically. And I think he must have had a big crush on me, because
Aww.
just the way that he took out his issues about it, and he would always talk about it. I'm muting you, Jay. He would always talk about, you know, racism and blah 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 blah, but it was very clear that it just has to do with his own dating insecurities, and it got really annoying. And then I made one joke about Vietnamese people not being attractive this one time, which like it's not entirely true, but the reason that I got this joke is I have a lot of Asian friends, and I have for a long time, and there is a stereotype amongst Asian people, like all of Asia, that Vietnamese people aren't very good looking. That like I've actually heard that from other Asian people like more than once. And so I made a joke sometime about that, and we were with like some other Asian people, and they didn't care. And one of the girls was actually half Vietnamese, and I didn't know. And they were like, "Oh my god, well she's Vietnamese," and I was like, "Oh well, she's cute." And then I put my arm around her, and she was like, "It's cool, I don't care," you know. And it was totally fine. Like it was just we were just joking. But he saved it. That was like, and then 2 months later, he cornered me. He decided that he was like, "I'll walk you home." And then he like freaked out, and it is because he had been to some fucking like undoing racism training cult thing, and he was like, "Yeah, I went to this thing, and I really need to tell you this because you made that joke that one time, and it was like 2 months ago." And he was like, "Yeah," and they told me that I need to call people out, and so I'm calling you out. And there was nothing that was going to satisfy him. Like I was like, "I don't know what you want. Like I don't know. Did this hurt you as a person?" He's like, "No, it didn't hurt me as a person. It's you that has the problem." And I'm like, "Well, but what do you want?" I don't know what he wanted from me besides complete submission.
Yeah.
And like, you know, like some sort of like, I will never do anything like that again. I will follow people of colors. I will listen. I don't, you know, like, cause it,
listen and believe.
Yeah. He whatever he wanted, it was irrational, and I don't even think he really knew. And
I just had a thought. I think these people are so adamant that you agree with them because they've been given these marching orders to go out and you gotta call it out where you see it. And so like they feel like they're failing, or like they don't know what to do once they get like acknowledgement.
Oh, exactly.
Go forth and indoctrinate.
Yeah. No, that's exactly
they don't
what
even
it is.
know what that means.
Yeah, it is like this weird thing where it's like this army, and they're trying to recruit like the intersectional army. It works like that in a very weird way. And since there's different cults, like some of them are feminist, some of them are African American, some of them are just general, you know, usually they're either feminist or African American in origin, just but there's numerous different ones. And so they're the message being proselytized by each of their little troopers is not consistent in any way. I guess is the point. And that stuff has been around at least since the 90s, probably since the 70s, you know, in areas. And it's really embarrassing. It's really like,
oh yeah, I mean, identity politics is a very old phenomenon now. I mean, we're probably talking about in terms of it actually taking root, it probably like the late 80s, early 90s. Actually, if you guys are looking for a funny throwback movie, you should check out PCU with Jeremy Piven.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
Badass PCU.
That movie is amazing.
Piven rock.
That is such of a gem for these days. Like I'm surprised most people don't remember that one.
And he's
but,
Jewish. He's a Jew. Go piss, Prince. But did you know Jeremy Piven is a Jew? Can y'all hear me? I just had some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we got you.
Okay, so I'll back up off the mic and I won't scream like that. But PCU, dude, that was who said that? Say it again.
That was me. Mike. Yeah, PCU.
That was Mike. Okay, Mike. I'm just jumping on here. Go ahead. That was a badass. Jeremy Piven is a badass Jew.
I'm just surprised someone, because there's so, people have so much access to so much information now. I'm surprised that movie isn't coming up more often because it goes into all this stuff. They didn't have terms like SJW back then, but identity politics has always been a problem on the left. It's always been a problem. It just kind of reached its critical mass over the last like 10 years or so.
I want to see that movie now.
It's funny. I mean, it's
well,
kind of like
girl.
Animal
It's
House.
hilarious.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Animal House at a
Only for the new age, for the 90s.
Yeah, except at like a liberal arts school. It's ridiculous. It's
That
got David
sounds good.
Just on a
David
quick side
Spades.
note,
David
Bill-
Spades, the head of the Young Republicans. It's great.
What are you saying?
Dave, do you know who Jeremy Piven is from like Entourage? He's their manager.
I don't know. Let me.
Well, you
look
got
him
to
up.
check out Jeremy Piven too. He's badass.
I know
But
that
go
dude.
You'll
ahead,
recognize him when you see him.
Yeah,
You'll
I see
recognize
him. I
Yeah,
know
as soon
that
as you
guy.
see it. He was also in a movie called Family Man, where the who is it? Nicolas Cage had a glimmer, and he got to see what life would be like if he would have got with his true love. Like
Love
all
Nick
of us, isn't that
Cage.
what we all want? Don't we all just want true love?
I want Nicolas Cage movies.
I would want Nicolas Cage myself, but I mean, no. I'm sorry, I'm a cis man. No. Anyway, no,
All
he's
right,
great.
I'm
He's
gonna
great.
go pee too. Actually, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I got to go pee in a minute. I just joined, but
We
I
can't
was
all go
wondering.
pee right now.
I know. I'll
You guys
say
gotta stay on here. Hold on.
the guy that said Mike that said the same.
Yeah.
Oh, he might be gone too. Oh no, you're
No,
there.
I'm here, I'm
what
here,
was
I'm
it?
here.
What I just jumped in at the end of the PCU. What was the catalyst that made you mention that movie?
Oh, I was just saying that we have. It's interesting to me to see that there's such of a huge backlash against identity politics. I guess most people call them social justice warriors now, but identity politics has been a huge that whole train of thought, that whole school of
Well,
thought.
Tell everybody what PC means and PCU. What did the PC?
Yeah, it's a politically correct university.
Right, because
Yeah,
a lot of these
yeah,
youngins
yeah.
wouldn't even know that was the original SJW.
The original.
Well,
yeah,
not
that's
the
what I'm
original,
saying.
not original, but the one in our age.
There-
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
an old
definitely.
Saturday Night Live skit that's floating around right now that's basically social justice warriors in an art class on painting the female nude.
Yeah, yeah, no, it comes in waves, and I think that it's like once a generation. Okay, I think that what happens is that it comes in over a 5 or 6 year period. It comes and it builds up slowly, and then it boils and it gets really, really crazy, and then it always turns people off ultimately because it's crazy.
Press,
And
I agree with you, but here's the thing: is every 5 years it's needed, brother, because once in a while, people like yourself and like me that have little different choices that we make in life, we actually do need someone to stand up for us and say, "Listen, you can't fucking beat Prince of Queens' ass because he likes a dude. You can't do it." And so that because of that, it seems to me that. And I wouldn't say every 5, but maybe every 10 if I could stretch it.
I would say no. This is how it happens. It happens every 20 years or so, but it's that last 20 years. The last 5 years is when it starts brewing, and people start talking about it more, and it becomes this thing where people just decide to try to kind of micromanage reality and like, oh, don't say certain words and don't, blah blah blah, and they think that they're going to cure it all. Like they think that it's not just enough to talk about it and like try to be nicer people. they think that they can make a system that will prevent it from ever happening again.
Well, like, can you do that? Is that possible in your mind? Is that possible?
Absolutely
that you
not. Of course not. And so these people try to come up with a system, and they start trying to police people's language, and usually it ends up being fucking feminists, because feminists, that's all they do. It's like, like, because feminists are not just women, they're weak women. Almost entirely. Maybe during the six, like the Camille Paulias and the Christina Hoff Sommers might have been strong women, but feminism mostly to this point is weak women who want to conspire and organize with authoritarian standards to control other people, and then they'll do that by censoring, and because they're weak, that's the only power that they have, is controlling others. They can't just actually do things themselves. And so these type of people end up coming up with a list of things that you can't do, but they don't really have an end goal, and it just leads to everybody being really, really, really miserable, which is the stage that I think we're kind of at right now as a culture. I mean, I was there 2015, and that's why I ended up starting my channel in early 2016, or mid 2016, really. But like, I think it's to the point where most people are starting to realize that that was just a bad move, the PC stuff. And then once everybody gets there, like once it's gotten really, really bad, everybody kind of has this like sudden realization, oh my God, that was a mistake. And then culture moves away from it, and everybody acts like it never happened, because they're so embarrassed that they got like that.
Yeah, well, I think there's one good outworking from this thing, though, Prince, because we got to quell it when it comes up crazy. But the guy that you can hardly see next to me, we've been in gay bars and right outside of the University of, I don't even really want to say, it's Ohio, okay? It's University of Ohio, Columbus. We were north of it. We went into a bar. We were on our way to North Carolina to sell soap. And if you could see my friend, you'd see that even after a stroke Christmas Day, that he wears a suit and tie everywhere he goes. Everybody thinks we're gay. Everybody thinks we're gay lovers, but we're not. We're actually both enthusiastically heterosexual. But the point is, where does it end? Because we were in a bar, and I told him, I was like, bro, you made a great point earlier about the feminists and the dykes that come in. And I don't mean dykes as in gay people. Don't fucking send me death threats. I mean the dykes. Everybody knows what I mean, I hope. And they come in, and so two dykes came and accosted my friend and I, and was just like, are you gay? And right away I said, yes, of course. And I know what, they believed it. And dude, if we hadn't have gotten out of that bar, we would have been, if they would have thought that we were not what we said. And King, I'm just going to shut up now, and I want to hear what you think about that, Prince. And where does it end is what I want to know. Where does it end? But now, King, now that you're enthusiastic, and this guy, I introduced him to his first homosexual guy. He was very trepidatious, but I would say he was a gentleman. King, what do you think about gay people? Now, tell Prince of Queens. You're on live.
I love them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them. You just have to talk to them. They are a person.
Amen.
They are a person just like you and I. And maybe they like to do other things. But Anthony from North Carolina.
Easy, King. No names. That's it. That's only one first name. But it's a very good gay friend of ours is what he means. He's got the stroke card, folks. He won't say any last names. And if you're listening, he probably is. We didn't mean that, brother. Go ahead.
But I love that man. I mean,
love him.
I would have, yeah, you can lay in the bed with me. Nothing's gonna happen.
They did too. He took a nap with him.
Everything's gonna be good.
And look, we don't want to take over. So what the question is, from a very cis man that is not, he's more cis than me, I guess, because if I was pushed into a corner, I don't know, I'd probably kiss you, King, if there was nothing, nobody else to kiss. But if I was pushed in a corner, but since from a very cis man, where does it end, brother? And I'm gonna turn my mic off because we make a lot of noise.
I don't really think it does end, because ultimately there will always be a new generation of, this shit is hard to really, like get somebody over the age of 30 like really fired up about this shit. You can get them to become compliant with it if they work at a university or in the right field, but ultimately it's going to be people who are between the ages of 15 and 25 who get most into the SJW kind of mentality. And you can never completely get rid of it, because there's going to be 20 years later, there's going to be a new crop of young people, and each and every one of them is going to feel like whatever it is that they got picked on their whole life, like if they were picked on for being gay, if they're picked on for being black, if they were picked on for being Asian, they're picked on for being a black lesbian in a wheelchair, whatever the fuck it was, they are going to have an axe to grind about it. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to feel like life has been unfair. And once that person starts trying to tell them that they would have everything they wanted if it wasn't for the unified evil of the world, though that white male patriarchy or whatever they want to call it, it can be a different thing in a different country. Once people convince, it's easy to convince people that they would have everything in life if it wasn't for them being disadvantaged. And then you try to find all the people that think that they're disadvantaged, and you try to unify those people. There's always going to be somebody who's going to try to use that tactic for political ends. So until, so that's always going to happen. There's always, and it'll be like this round of it, this round that happened, this election cycle, like I remember this happening in the late 90s, and gay men were very much included in it. Like it was like, yeah, vote for Al Gore because he's a Democrat and the Democrats like gay men, and period.
Gore don't like gay men.
I don't know anything about Al Gore really, but that's sort of that was just what it was like, and that was an assumed thing. Well, this election cycle, the fucking feminists hated gay men. I never, until Donald Trump actually won, I heard more shit talking about gay white men than I heard. Like they were like, gay white men aren't really oppressed. Milo Yiannopoulos is an asshole, and cisgender gay men oppress women, and blah 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 blah. Like they were constantly talking about that stuff. Like it was like, and if you ever made the mistake of saying, "Hey, just so you know, I'm not your enemy. I'm a gay guy. I'm oppressed too." If you said that, they would flip. They would lose their shit. They would be like, "Oh my God, you probably." I hope you know that a lot of gay guys are even more misogynistic than straight guys. And the fact that you think that just because you're a gay guy you can't be a misogynist, that means you probably are a misogynist. Blah 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 blah. Like oh my God, it's so like.
Yeah, I think I saw way more like gay Trump stuff. Like a huge resurgence.
Yeah, he waved the gay flag at the doggone RNC,
yeah, I know.
Man.
And it made sense to me. I mean, I know a lot of it's like these really conservative gay guys.
There are more gay Republicans than Democrats. They're just in the closet still because they're pussies. They're not like the Prince of Queens that will say, "I am what I am, and if you don't like it, kiss both sides of my ass."
I mean, look, I'm a straight guy, but that Twinks for Trump thing was the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen in my life. That was so
I'm friends with that guy on Facebook.
That shit is hilarious. Like I started. There's some picture of like of a dude in a Trump hat getting a blowjob, and it's like the camera's a little bit off kilter, so you can't really see, but you can. I just started spamming all my friends with it. I thought it was the funniest thing. Yeah. Like it was. Sorry, keep talking. No, it's like the left had nothing like that. I mean, that's kind of like. I mean, it's edgy and everything, but that's kind of insurgent, and there was just like nothing like that. I'm on the left, and I'm so entertained by it. I mean, it's like, yeah, like fuck that, fuck yeah.
Well, I'm on the left. Most people mistake me for a conservative, but I'm actually like an anarcho-capitalist, and I'm absolutely a classical liberal that believes that all the people that I see here, everyone that I see, as long as you don't hurt me or steal my lawnmower, shoot heroin, smoke crack, do whatever you want. Don't call Day a whore and say whatever about her tits. Don't call Prince a fag. And if you want to, that's fine. It's freedom of speech, but we'll call you a dick. That's what I believe.
I mean, that whole we shoot back thing. I mean, that was fucking brilliant. I mean, like I haven't seen anything. I mean, the left likes to talk about Stonewall, but I haven't seen anything that like kind of like fun and militant. Like in a long time, and
you need to hang out with me more often.
One of the things that pissed me off about the left during in terms of like freedom of speech and everything, because during the period of like 2014, 2015, where they were really bad with their like hate mobs and like getting people fired and you know, like the Gamergate and then Shirtgate and then mobbing on Tim Hunt and like all those things that happened that were happening all the time, and they were getting away with it. And then the people who were in the leftist media who were justifying it, they said the same thing over and over to try to justify it. They were like, well, yeah, there's freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequences. So if you say something that's rude, then we have every right to call you no, if you say something's rude, we have every right to call you out on it. But what that really meant was that they had every right to use all of their media connections to smear people, and for journalists to start smearing people on Twitter and getting all of their like tens of thousands subscribers to smear people. And there was absolutely no and then Twitter would enable it. Jack didn't give a fuck. As long as they were leftists, he was fine with it. Same with Facebook. It was completely enabled by our political system so that conservatives or anyone that they even smeared weren't able to fight back. Mm-hmm. And now the tables are starting to turn a little bit, and it turns out it's like you know, these people are trying to like talk shit, and you know, like now they have something different to say now that the tables have been turned. And it's like they would talk about freedom, you know, freedom. Now they don't like freedom of speech. Now they think freedom of speech sucks because it is enabling conservatives to talk, and conservatives are able to have a voice again that isn't silenced by a conspiracy theory of media and social media colluding to silence them. Does that make sense?
I love you, brother. That fuck yeah, that I love you.
Now you got to realize when you sit out on a hay wagon in your yard in the middle of Esty.
No names. Hang on. Technical difficulties. Go ahead, Prince. Take over. He'll tell you something that I got to touch. I'm going to turn my mic off.
Locations
He's new at this. He's new at this. Holy shit. Hang on.
I got to go and find me something to eat anyway, so I'm getting ready to drop out as it is. I'll talk to you later, okay, Prince?
Okay, bye, Larry.
It was nice talking to everyone here. I'll see you all later.
Likewise. See you later.
So yeah, you know, there was a gigantic collusion that you know, they acted like this bullying was just, you know, this is what they would say. They would say repeatedly, well, the reason that there's so much you know, that people get bullied on the internet and, you know, conservatives get called out and get fired from their job, it's just happening because minorities finally have a voice. They're finally on the internet and they can finally make themselves heard. And it's like, no. It's happening because not only are there minorities that are making themselves heard, they're being manipulated by people in the media that are rallying them to make their voices heard, and conservatives are being treated unfairly. They're being, you know, there's a collusion in the media and on the social media to silence the other side. Like the conservative type people could have rallied troops as well and fought back, but that was being suppressed. And yeah.
So I think one of the big elements of this is that, I mean, under the two-party system in the United States, I mean, we're constantly throwing the bums out, right? So we have one party in power for a while, we get sick of it, we throw them out, then we bring in somebody else, and we flip around and around and around again. I mean, I'm only 32. Sometimes when we talk about politics with people, I feel like I'm 100 years old. But a lot of this stuff to me, especially with the left, this losing their goddamn minds every single day, it really reminds me of, you know, the Bush years and the early Obama years. And I mean, it's just completely outrageous. I mean, for the fact that I don't think anyone has any sense of proportion. I mean, I don't want to hijack the discussion, but I think, you know, 8 years of Bush was hell. I mean, that was an assault on every level. You know what I mean? That was concrete. I mean, I just, you know, the 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, like the bank bailouts, the Patriot Act. I mean, my life, my young life, and my friend's life was way more affected by the neoconservative administration than anything else, more or less. But I mean, it reminds me exactly the way that Fox News used to be. That's the entire mainstream media right now. So, you know, back in the day, like it took a concentrated effort on the part of the left to discredit Fox News, and they needed to be, because at a certain point in time during the Bush administration, they were just running the field. everybody. They had their I forget what their big tagline was. Fair and balanced. That reigned the day. It was just like if you were a left wing guy on these TV shows, you were funny looking and ugly, and you got talked over, and so on and so on. I mean, they just run amok. And I think
fair and balanced.
Yeah, it was nonsense. It was at the point where it shifted gradually, but it got to a certain point. If you told, like it is now, if you told people, "Hey, I got my news from Fox News," they would laugh at you. They say that's fake. That's fake news. We have a term for that now. But we switched teams, so now things are different.
Yeah, and it.
I mean,
sorry, keep going.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, it's like look, I'm not a Trump supporter, okay, but I keep the last 20 years in mind. I mean, if he's really as bad as he says he is, he has big shoes to fill over the last 2 administrations. He has big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't. It's hard for me to not be cynical. And it's someone who's been on the left for the majority of my life. I mean, and not just say you guys are just butthurt because you lost the election. You're just losing your minds because your heir apparent lost.
But the left didn't lose, brother. The left did not lose. Trump is not. Listen, he buffaloed everybody with that. He was a Democrat. Look, he is Ronald Reagan reborn. He is JFK reborn.
Yeah, he was a New York liberal until he ran for president.
Fucking A right, brother. That conservative doesn't apply to him.
He was. I know. Like all my left wing friends are like, "Come on, man, just pass single payer." I know you're into it, man. I know you're into it, man.
I gotta pay my insurance.
I wish.
So, the thing is about the left is that they were able to succeed in what they realized is that it was easy to discredit Fox News as relatively, it had the biggest viewership in terms of ratings, but you could discredit Fox News and then then you had to convince leftists that cross-referencing stuff with numerous news sources was a good idea, because if something's on CNN, the New York Times, and then 15 blogs, well, it must be true. So they made a very deliberate effort to buy out CNN, New York Times, and then 15, 20 and other things. Even NPR, PBS became Democratic shill stations, basically. And so the problem that we see now, and this is a thing, is that it's really hard to get people to understand that it's not just CNN and Politico and New York Times and the other thing that was banned. It's almost all of the mainstream of the stuff that will show up on Facebook, and and they're all uniform. They all have the same message, and people think, oh, if you hear one story on the same day, it must be true. But we know that they can collude to do that. We saw it first in Gamergate with the gamers are dead articles that all came out on the same day. So we know that they're able to do that. So anybody who realizes, anybody who sees that happen, realizes how incredibly fucked up it is, and then turns to alternative media. But it's so hard to red pill the people that are still caught in the mindset, because they usually won't watch videos, and all of alternative media is on YouTube. They think of YouTube as one website that doesn't really matter. They don't think of YouTube as a gigantic conglomeration of independent people from all over, for what it is. It is this amazing resource. They just think it's one web page full of conspiracy theories, is what they think it is.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm really grateful for it, because I remember back in the day, Bush years, what could you listen to? Democracy Now! That was it.
Yeah.
The Daily Show.
Yeah, Daily Show.
Yeah, that was kind of what it was, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty crazy. And you could find, and there was blogs that were cool then. There was a period where blogs were actually starting to be good.
You had to be on the mailing list and stuff.
But there's no good blogs anymore. There's the only blog that is at all worth reading is my friend that I know of is my friend Ryan. He has a blog called what is the fucking name of his? He's one of the guys who does the alt left groups. So Mike Ryan England. His blog is like, maybe it's called like Agent Commie Talks or some.
I'm not familiar with it actually, but I haven't actually got to talk to Ryan that much. I talked to a couple of the other guys, but
yeah, Ryan's really cool. He's been on my channel a few times, but he also does a YouTube channel because he's trying to reach a wider audience, and it's just kind of one of those things where like if you look at YouTube and the way it is set up, you know, you can make money as an independent, you can get a wide audience relatively quickly. And so if you're smart enough to figure out how to edit a video, like there's really no good reason not to do it if you know, unless you have like a really annoying sounding voice, which I kind of do, but
you don't. I
so,
like it. I love all the voices you do all the time.
Yeah. I was gonna tell you, Prince. One of the reasons why I like your channel actually is the same reason why I really like Blair White's channel. And I don't necessarily agree all the time with either one of them, but one of the things I like is that I mean I just feel like I'm listening to a normal person talk. So I mean, I'm normally, you know, for the most part, like political conversations, you know, I've talked to plenty of activists and stuff like that, but I mean, when I watch your channel or her channel, I think this is like the average, you know, person on the street talking. Like I feel like I'm actually kind of tapping into like where, like, you know, someone who's not necessarily immersed in all this nonsense. Like especially like a lot of the like gay friends I've had or a lot of trans friends I've had. I mean, they're easygoing and they're cool, and they, you know, they're not gonna like cut your head off, you know. So that's one of the things I appreciate. It's got kind of it's got a realness to it, and of course that's definitely like a YouTube thing in general, because I mean if you got a webcam or even just a microphone, you can make it happen. So
fuck's sake, laddie, somebody said they like some voices, did they? Give me a bottle of Clan McGregor. Prince, take this in a good direction, sir. It's getting a wee bit boring. No, I'm just Prince has something better. I know he does, or Day does. Look, I had Day on a live stream. She fucking kicks ass. She is smarter than you faggots think she is. She's way smarter.
I know her pretty well. She's pretty smart.
What's the age?
I know you do, Prince.
This live, because I don't want to go on and on, but I mean, like the sense of deja vu that I'm having in terms of the Bush administration is unbelievable right now.
Yeah. It's like all blowing up and everybody's kind of losing their shit over it, but switch.
The difference is when Bush first went into office, the media wasn't really freaking. Everybody was kind of acting like it wasn't real. Like everybody
likes Bush.
Well, there was the big scandal of the like Al Gore supposed to be having won, and as if it was stolen. And then when Bush got into office, it was kind of like he didn't even do anything for the first 6 months.
Prince, he did win. They said he did. I mean, the courts have ruled. Al Gore, look, and I didn't support it, but he did win. Yeah, but it was
a big controversy.
Prince, if I could bust in too. It just, before you finish your thought, Bush or Trump? Tell me right now, without thinking, pick one.
Oh, Trump. Jeez.
Oh, Trump is way better than Bush. Yeah,
because Bush was a fucking moron. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, he was a brilliant person. He was just a fucking idiot.
Well said.
I think I liked my life better.
I'm sorry, Prince. I just did some shit that was so bad. Finish your idea.
Well, when Bush was in office, the left, like, it was like, and I was 18. This was the first election that I ever voted in, so I remember it very clearly. When Bush won, it was kind of like everybody was in disbelief, and they stayed in disbelief for the first 4 years of his presidency. They just were like, well, and they disengaged, and people talked about how much he sucked, but like the media was able to like move on to different things, and it was like, well, we hate our president again, doesn't really matter. And I think that actually had to do with the DNC. I honestly, because the Clinton family had a long alliance with the Bush family, and I don't think that it's unlikely that there was some sort of, you know, kind of collusion going on there. And they were thinking that Clinton would take back over in 2008 after Bush was elected. So we didn't have the same media freak out where the media is like actively trying to like completely usurp the presidency and like maybe take it away from them. So that's really, really weird. But the media has been beaten. The media is beaten by YouTubers, basically. And YouTubers have there's so many reasons why YouTubing is awesome. We had blogging during the Bush administration. Like, people were starting to do blogs, and some blogs were actually really, really good. But they ended up being all bought out. And now I think that Google colludes with the like you can't find good blogs anymore. Like you try to search for them, and you try to search for any feminist subject on Google, and you'll find like 3 pages worth of everyday feminism articles that like show up every time. And so like yeah, it seems pretty clear that independent bloggers are being shafted, and so everybody ended up going over to YouTube. But this is the problem that I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, is like, how do we get people to take YouTube seriously? To them, it's just a site with a bunch of people, conspiracy theorists and teenagers talking about their makeup tutorials or something.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be gradual, and I think it's going to be as more YouTubers get popular. Like, I think Sargon's a good person because, like, he's actually gotten into the old school media. There's got to be, like, some sort of crossover where they start bringing attention to certain YouTubers, and then eventually people will start looking around for themselves. But I don't think it's going to happen just, like, because layman people don't know what to search for or like what to do or who's good or who's bad. Like they'll just click on someone, it'll be like the most novice person ever, and they'll be like, oh, they're all like this. But there are actually some legit people on YouTube, and I think as more people that get the big followings, it's gonna flow with that, just based on like the few specific YouTubers that actually get a big enough following that old school media has to pay attention.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I've tried to make my YouTube. No. I think that makes sense. It's going to be a slow transition.
And now a message from George W. Bush.
Well, now, you fool me once, shame on me. You fool me twice. Well, no, you ain't gonna fool me twice.
I want a moron. Sorry, we had to do that.
I am going back into the nightmare.
Yeah, George W. Bush was just stupid. Like Trump, everybody acts like Trump is stupid, but he's not. He just doesn't give a fuck what you think of him.
He's a really good
I didn't want to mislead you. We weren't trying to say he was stupid. What I'm going to say is he had something in common. Wow, I just did something and Dave popped up on my screen. Dave, you're so beautiful. He has something in common with Trump. Trump cut Vince McMahon's hair. What he did was we joke about that all the time because he meant to misspeak that, and you know it, Prince, because you're slick. I've watched a bunch of your videos. You're very intelligent. And what he did was he played the okie dokie, I'm a ghetto boy card. Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. And what it did is it made the mouth breathing morons, with all due respect, because I'm one of them probably, and the flyover states be like, oh, look what a good guy he is. We'd have a dinner. So that was our break-in, but I didn't want to mislead you, Prince. We weren't trying to say necessarily that he was dumb. You can't become president of the United States and be dumb. Can we all agree on that?
No, I don't think he's dumb at all. I think he was tremendously effective. I mean, I don't think people underestimate just how effective the neo.
They misunderestimated him. I'm going to mute ourselves again because we're really loud. We're going to listen.
I think he had Lyme disease, and that's why he stutters and couldn't think of things off the bat. Because he got Lyme disease, and there's a whole conspiracy about Lyme disease. If you want to hear about it, no, I don't even want to go into it. Plum Island, yo. But yeah. So I guess.
Holy shit! I just had to unmute myself. Go into it, please, Dave. Prince, could you elaborate on that Lyme disease conspiracy theory? Because I've never heard it, and I would love to hear it. Because he's
really,
a fucking moron.
I'm not like an expert on it, but I've had Lyme disease. It didn't show up in my blood. I had it. Like, I'm disabled, and I have lupus, and I have Lyme disease, and I had my spinal fluid, and so I learned a whole bunch about Lyme disease because doctors are so freaking weird about it. But there's this conspiracy theory, and I don't know how much stock I put into it, if any, but it's Plum Island off the coast of Connecticut, of Lyme, Connecticut, where they kind of discovered the bacteria. They were doing all sorts of Nazi experiments with the medical scientists, and they were doing a bunch of chemical warfare and disease, airborne or pathogenic sort of experiments, and they think that there was an outbreak on the island that was just like a few hundred yards off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut, and that it somehow spread, got into the the deer ticks or the
Now,
rodents.
Dave, don't kill me, but you're going back to like Prescott Bush because they're from Connecticut. Are you saying that GW got this before they moved to Kentucky or to
I don't know when he got it, but he was actually treated during his presidency. I don't know if it was the first term or the second term or whatever.
You know that.
Yeah, he was treated for it. Yeah.
And so no, if you would elaborate a little bit because you've had Lyme disease, and Prince, I'm not going to try to take over here. This is just really interesting to me.
He's muted. I think he's letting us.
Would you please tell us how did that affect you? Did it affect your thought processes?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell because I have like multiple things going on. I have transverse myelitis, lupus, and Lyme disease, and they found the Lyme disease first because I had a spinal tap, and it was all in my spinal fluid. So they think either that caused, like I walk with a cane, and I have muscle problems. I have spasticity, and I have a terrible time. But I don't know if it was the Lyme disease that caused it or the lupus that caused it. I don't think I'll ever know. But yeah, it didn't affect my thinking too much, I don't think.
Well, so I guess, listen, again, I'm just breaking in because I want you to put a point on this.
No, it can affect your thinking. It can affect like cognitive recall, the words coming out of your mouth. I'm hearing it. I'm doing it right now. It's like, yeah, just your speaking
skills. Do you feel like it affected him? Do you think that it might have?
I think it might have. That's what I think. I think it definitely.
He was kind of dumb, but I always thought that it was like a disguise he put on. It was. Like,
I don't think so. I think it was not on purpose.
Does everybody here know who Prescott Bush was? He sold a lubricant to the Nazis that the Messerschmitt 109s would not have flown.
Oh yeah, I heard all about that.
I do not know about
he was
this.
Horrible. He was a double dealer. I'm Jewish, so I know some things about Jews. And I'll tell you one thing about them. They will fund both sides of a war as long as they make money. They don't give a shit. They will bomb you and sell the bombs to both people. And they don't give a fuck who wins because Baron Rothschild said, give me control of a nation's currency and I care not who makes the laws. And that's a fact. And so what you're saying is poignant because I want to believe what you're saying is true. That he had some problem and he was dumb. But what I believe is he put that on like an overcoat. Now I'll shut up and listen.
No, it's a speculation. It's by no means what I actually think. I think it's very likely though, because Lyme disease does that. You can't communicate well with Lyme disease, and I think maybe he had mental faculties going on, but he was easily fatigued and manipulated and mentally fatigued, and couldn't give speeches for shit.
He ran a 5K every morning though, so I have a hard time believing that. He may be mentally fatigued, but physically, I mean, I think that
all the dude wanted to do was do paintings and play golf.
I believe that he was so evil day out that stuff that everybody wants to blame Cheney, and I believe he was in on it.
Oh,
but I firmly believe in my heart that GW has used that stupid moron thing. Hey, I saw him at the swear-in for Trump. He was sitting there and if you've seen his old lady, she's starting to look like what they both are, evil.
He got the raincoat, and he's all fumbling with the raincoat.
All I'm saying is, Prince of Queens, and I see a beautiful person. I look at you, I see a beautiful person. Guess what? And also, I don't want to leave anybody out, but Mike and Satan, you too. I see beautiful people.
I look great too.
Love you, Satan. You're beautiful.
And some of y'all are avatars, but here's the thing. When I look at Bush and his wife and the offspring of Prescott Bush, when I look at Laura Bush and her mother-in-law, Mrs. Bush, listen, does everybody realize that, look, I'm getting probably way off in the weeds, and if I am, Prince, just shut me up. But look, does everybody know that frickin' what's his name there? Nathan just had his 6th heart transplant in his mansion, in his own room with his own doctors. And who knows, how did he get on that list? How did he get his 6th heart transplant at 103 years old?
Money.
Well, you're saying it, but it's not only money because there's other people just as rich or richer than him.
Power.
And look, Satan just dropped off. So I'm going to shut up because I hope I didn't make him drop off or I'm going off in the weeds into a place that this chat's not meant to go.
I don't think so.
What I'm saying is G.W. Bush used the dummy card. The king likes to say, what do you have now, King? What do you use?
Stroke card.
He uses a stroke card because on Christmas he died for 23 minutes. And now when his mom gives him hell and people give him hell, he says, "Hey, I had a stroke, niggas. Give me a break." You know what I mean? I mean, get you back up.
I'm 43.
That said, I believe, Day. I want to hear what you think, because you were trying to say, okay, it may be Lyme sickness, or you, Prince, but don't you all really, in your heart of hearts, believe that the son of a bitch just pretended to be stupid so he could do all these horrific, unhumanitarian things? These horrible
I don't.
and
all in all, I don't believe that. No.
I think it was largely an act, but I don't think it was entirely an act with a diabolical, intelligent other side.
My theory is it was Lyme
disease.
But
I'm
sticking to it.
I want to believe what you two just said.
I've done so much stupid crap in my 43 years of life. I fooled just all. I pulled off so much bad shit and got away with it.
Don't tell him nothing of the King Easy.
And
he's not joking. I'll just say he's not joking, but I'm going to try to steer him away from making specific comments.
Now I can get to play a stroke card. I'm going to play a stroke card. Boy, before that, I could just play.
He played other cards. This is the Michigan George W. Because what he would do is he would do shit that no one gets away with, and then he would go,
You're the mastermind? Well, I was rototillery my mom's garden.
He always had an excuse.
When the fucking store got robbed. So obviously it was not me.
And look, we're 2 against all y'all, so I'm gonna shut up because I really they muted themselves. So Dave.
It seems like everybody's muted besides us.
Well, so Dave,
I was gonna
I want to continue.
I keep getting myself
soon, but I feel like we're the only ones
going on in the background. So
well, and okay, that's fine. So because I don't want to take over. If I'm stepping on anybody, just tell me shut up and we'll remute ourselves.
I gotta take off in a minute. So
I actually got it. Should take off in a minute. So
yeah.
I think I might want to end this stream. You guys can stay talking in the hangout, but I have food to eat. So
okay, I have to eat dinner too.
Well, so what are you saying, Prince? We could stay. I could stay here and talk to Dave for a few minutes, and you're gone. Is that cool?
I'm gonna go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna stop the broadcast. But you guys, if you guys want to chill your channels or whatever, say.
Day is dead. Actually, it's VaporS/VaporS on YouTube. I don't know. Hold on, I'll link it.
I would just like to say, if you were not a fool, you would check out the Prince of Queens. Watch all of his videos. They are awesome. He is intelligent. He is a deep thinker. He will tell you how it is, and he will not pull punches. When you're done with that, stop by and see Satan himself. He will also do the same things that I mentioned before. And when you're done with that, come by and see the Laughing Ogre. I will entertain you and play you music, and I will not lie to you.
Cool.
That
awesome.
was great.
Well,
thanks for inviting me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool to have you on, Mike. Thanks for everybody checking out this stream. I will not be saving this, so I hope if you made any funny comments in the side chat that you saved them. Okay, talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay, I will be looking for you so that we can discuss.